Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to
YAHAWAH, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Ba'akadah.
double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the 144,000, the rest of the elect, unto you say Shalom. Coming to you back with another Friday evening camp down here in Dallas, in America, Babylon the Great, telling our people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the true Israelites of the scriptures that the Bible speaks of. Warning our people of what's about to come. The incoming doom and gloom. We're not here to preach about prosperity doctrine like these Christian churches and these other Israelite camps. No, we're here to tell you about what's about to come upon the planet Earth, which is ultimately great judgment, especially here in America, Babylon the Great, because of all the wickedness that goes around, especially here in America, because America is the mother of all harlots. So this place that we call America has a great judgment because of all the wickedness that is done to the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all the bloodshedding that is done to the Israelites, and that's why we see America collapsing. Just like during the time of Egypt, of ancient Egypt, when it was getting plagued by all these different plagues, the farms were failing, the crops, the waters were getting poisoned, the economy was tanking. And it's the same thing today in this modern day Egypt, the spiritual Egypt known as America. It's just like YAHAWASHI made Egypt collapse, and all the past empires, it's going to be the same thing to America. That's why we see all these mass layoffs, government shutdown, the longest government shutdown in history. I think we're like at day 37. In Lord's will, it doesn't come back. It doesn't get the government doesn't get turned back on, for lack of better words, because that only means that the destruction of America is closer. Because what Esau Edom is doing, he's purposely collapsing his system so he can bring in his new digital system that's going to be spearheaded by the MOTP, the Charagma, which is a microseer. That's why we see America's collapsing and it's not being healed, because it's all being done purposely. But majority of the people up on the planet Earth, they may see it, they may think that it's just another 2008, that it's just going to come and go. But no, ultimately, this is the end of this empire. It's the end of America.
This Ezekiel chapter 7. Now I'm going to get verse 5 and 6. Now I'm going to get verse 25 for you. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, YAHAWASHI, and evil, and only evil, behold, is come. An end is come. The end is come. It watcheth for thee, behold, it is come."
Got it. That's going into the end of America. America isn't going to be here forever, like a lot of these people believe, especially our people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, because you even have these Edomites that see the end coming, and they're preparing carnally, doomsday prepping. But what are our people doing? Playing around in that spirit of mirth. Instead of turning back to YAHAWASHI, they're asking the so-called white man Esau Edom to turn them food stamps back on. Instead of relying of their true power, which is YAHAWASHI. No, they rather trust in the so-called white man. They rather trust in oppression. And where has it gotten our people? Completely destroyed, completely void of who they are. So the majority of our people are just going to have to get put to death because they're not meant to get it. They're meant to continue in their folly, continue to be in the house of mirth. So the majority of our people, they're not going to make it. They're just going to have to get put to death because they refuse to acknowledge who their power is. They refuse that ultimately is YAHAWASHI doing all this upon the planet Earth, because of the Lord is visiting the earth because of all the wickedness that goes on. And it's only going to ramp up more and more. It's not going to die down.
Oh, yeah. Now, originally, that chapter is going into the judgment on Israel. They went into the Babylonian captivity, but guess what? Our people are joined to Babylon the Great, and the Lord is going to bring another tribulation onto the nation of Israel, man, like never before seen on the planet Earth. Now, when you jump down, this for you, bro. This Ezekiel 7 and 25. "Destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none." So it ain't gonna be no peace, man. Everybody's trying to have America be revived and be healed. Babylon the Great get to turn the food stamps back on, for it to go back to that prosperous state. See, oh yeah, America gonna fix the economy. No, it's not gonna be fixed, man. The way they're gonna fix it is by pushing that MC Hammer, that Revelation 13 and 16, man. See that put that chip inside your hand or your forehead, man. That digital currency. That's the way they're gonna try and fix it. And that's not in you people's best interest. That's only gonna benefit the top elite and those top banking families, man. So it's the Babylon the Great or America is not going to be healed, man. Like the brother's going into. No, I see it. One time, I think.
God.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. This is Isaiah chapter 31 and verse 1. It says, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and horsemen because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh.
God, and that word woe going into destruction, which majority of our people are going to be destroyed because they refuse to go back to YAHAWASHI and repent. They rather keep trusting in oppression. They rather keep trusting in Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. You know, they rather have the food stamps turned back on. You know, the welfare checks keep being sent out. You know, really a lot of Jay is hoping for another stimulus check, not knowing what that's doing to the economy. That's only making the economy worse. But, you know, it's all planned out because YAHAWASHI wants the wicked of our people to go down to Esau Edom for help, just like they did 5 years ago. You know, when he was offering the jump shot, you know, the JAB, you know, and what did our people do? They trusted in Esau Edom. They trusted in Egypt because they looked at how so-called great that America is. You know, they trusted in the so-called science, you know, and it's going to be the same thing when that MOTB gets made presented because of how bad the economy is going to be. You know, the economy is going to collapse. There's not going to be any jobs. You know, Esau Edom's going to offer that UBI, that universal basic income. But the only way to get it, you're going to have to take that MOTB. And that's what the majority of our people are going to do. They're going to go down to Egypt and trust in Esau Edom. They're going to trust in the so-called white man and oppression because they're so used to it. They don't know nothing else. They don't know who their true power is. You know, instead of repenting and turning back to YAHAWASHI, they'd rather continue to trust in oppression.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I'm going to jump down to verse 3, man. It says, now the Egyptians are, well, my bad, Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 3, 31 and verse 3. It says, now the Egyptians are men and not the Most High, and their horses flesh and not spirit. When Yahweh shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they all shall fail together.
Got it.
If you got it, or you good? All right. Yeah, because, you know, in other words, you know, how you was going into how Jake is trusting in Egypt, ultimately not realizing that they're nothing but mere men, mortals, man, right? Trusting in Esau and the one of all things, not realizing that YAHAWASHI is in control of all that, right? Ultimately, let you know that it's going to be to their detriment for ultimately trusting in this devil because this devil's going to fall, right? And guess what? They're going to be along, well, 2/3 of the nation of Israel is going to be along with them, trying to help them. And guess what? They're going to fall as well. He that helping and he that hoping, they both shall fall together, right? So with Jake's trying to stick along Esau's side, even though being screwed over, they still going to stick with Esau because they don't know nothing else, like you said, right? It's going to ultimately, you know, fuck them over completely. That's all I have to say.
Time, because when has the so-called white man, Esau Edom, had the best interest of our people? You know, whenever he's offering you something, there's always an agenda hidden behind it.
Yep.
And he's about to do the same thing. You know, we see that he's collapsing the economy, but it's for a reason. And so he could you know, do away with the dollar, do away with the physical currency, so he could bring this new digital currency that's going to be spearheaded by the conglomerate, the MOTB.
Yep. This Jeremiah 17 and 5. Thus said the Lord YAHWASHI, cursed be the man that trusted in man, that and make it flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from YAHWASHI. See, like brothers going into, man, that's what you're doing when you try and trust this devil. All you care about is money. All you care about is getting that bag, having a spot in this world. And little do you know, whatever career you're doing is helping further this kingdom, which is keeping your ass on the bottom. You see, but YAHWASHI is coming to put us on the top, man, to subject all these nations. Our people, like the brothers going into, trusting in America, Babylon the Great. That's that broken staff for the wicked, man. This place is already fated to go down. So our people that's following it gonna go down with them, man. Yep. No, I see it. Yep, this Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 7. It says, Babylon have been a golden cup in YAHWASHI's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad.
Going into the Babylonian way of life, this American lifestyle, the so-called American dream, which pretty much is dead. You know, it was always a dream. But now that our people are starting to realize that, damn, we got a fool by the so-called white man. He told us if we go to college and get a degree, if we work hard, then we will be just like him. We will be equal like the so-called white man. But now that he's laying you off, now they're starting to realize, damn, I was drunken off of the philosophies of Babylon, the American dream, the black women, Eve, they're starting to realize that they've been bamboozled, to going into college to break away from their men, and everybody's starting to realize, damn, we've been fooled by America. We've been fooled by Babylon the Great. And all these different nations, that's why they're starting to dump the dollar. Because now they're starting to realize that, it was just like a parasite relationship. America was just taking, and not really giving nothing back. And now the countries are like, man, to hell with that. We're gonna form our own currency. That's why you have BRICS, because all these countries, they're done dealing with the American dollar. That's why they're gonna dump all the debt, all the dollars back into America. And what is that going to lead to? That's going to lead to hyperinflation. That's going to lead to famine. That's going to lead to civil war, because that's what it takes for these people to finally get into that uprising spirit when their food gets taken away. That's why a couple of weeks ago, you had people talking about, we're going to storm these stores. We're going to, go into these grocery stores and just take the carts full of food, because ultimately America's collapsing it, but it's all done by design.
This Jeremiah 51 and verse 8, it says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed.
And America's not going to be healed. It's going to be destroyed. But first, it's going to get plagued by all these different pestilences, famines, the sword. You're going to have a Civil War 2.0, race wars, which that's already been. We're basically at the beginning stages of it. We're at the beginning stages of World War III, Jacob's Trouble. And what is all that going to lead to? That's going to lead to the thermonuclear destruction of America. That's the end that America has. Not another damn 1,000 years of so-called American lifestyle, going to work 9 to 5, paying taxes, having to be stuck in traffic. That's about to be done away with. And people are going to be like, damn, is this it? Is this all we have to look forward to? But ultimately, for our people, the kingdom of heaven is next. But to the rest of these heathens, these Babylonians, this is pretty much as good as it gets for America. That's why a lot of them are mourning, especially these Edomites, these so-called white people, because they know deep in their spirit this is as good as it gets for them.
Yeah, and all that so-called healing that the brother's going into, that they're going to use, it's going to make it to where you stripped of all your so-called quote-unquote rights that y'all try and fight for, man. But if they put that device inside of you, they're going to know exactly where you are, exactly how much you're spending. They're going to be able to shut that thing off. See? They're gonna have complete control and access over you, where you at, and what you doing, man. All right? And that's the type of society we live in. These niggas want to create a fucking dystopian society where they got full governance over everybody and everything like the Most High. You see? And that, if you're fighting for that, that's not nothing to fight for, man. Our people finna really soon find out. This Babylon.
It is Babylon.
It is. This Jeremiah 51 and verse 9. It says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone in his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up to the skies.
John, that's going to be the end of America. It's going to be thermonuclear fire. So that's why it's not going to be healed, because YAHAWASHI is not with America. He's not with this empire being ran by the so-called white man. That's ultimately why it's going to be destroyed. But what are our people hoping is to America to be healed? To the economy to be fixed, for dollar to go back to $1, gas to go back to $1.50. No, but that's not going to be the case. It's only going to get worse. Inflation is only going to keep rising. People are going to keep getting laid off, because of this government shutdown. You got planes falling off the sky, letting you know that this place is done. Because now you're not going to have airplanes, flying out throughout the holiday season. Right now they say it's only a 10%, of airplanes that are going to get shut down, aerospace, but it's only going to increase more. Lord's will by Christmas is 50%, and it only rises up more, because that's the only thing left for these people. The holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. That's the only thing that they got to look forward to. But what what's gonna happen when that gets taken away? People are gonna start revolting. They're gonna be like, damn, I can't even celebrate Christmas no more. I can't even celebrate New Year's. But that's letting you know that YAHAWASHI is also taking the mirth out of this place because it's done. It's finished.
Here's one. This is Jeremiah 51, and I'm gonna get verse 10.
If I could add real quick, because you're in Jeremiah 51, Jeremiah 50, it starts off speaking about Merodach is confounded, Baal is broken. Merodach, is one of the chief deities, in Babylon, which is Marduk. But that's ultimately what Christmas goes back to. Marduk, Merodach. But what you just made mention about, with people looking forward to Christmas and like it ain't the same. The Lord took that spirit out the earth. Well, that all comes by this ministry, man. 2 Corinthians, the 10th chapter says, for our weapons are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High, pulling down strongholds. So ultimately, this whole Edomite spirit, this Babylonian spirit, all the gods and everything that's associated and attached with it, it's all being brought to naught. It's all being broken to pieces by this word. So Merodach and Baal is confounded. You got it.
Yeah, because you even have Americans that are talking about boycotting Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yep.
Because of the government shutdown, because they're not getting their food stamps. And ultimately, that's the Lord putting it up on his spirit to not go out there and partake in these things. Because really, they're all pagan holidays, but yet they're still celebrating them. So they could get a feel for that so-called mirth that they felt back in the day. Back when there were, children, teenagers, young adults. That's why people are still trying to cleave on to the old ways of Babylon. Celebrating Christmas, celebrating, Easter, all these different holidays. But the Lord is also taking the spirit out of everything. He's taking the spirit out of Babylon the Great. The mirth is gone.
Yeah, niggas trying to bring the 90s back, trying to bring the 80s back, particular haircuts and dress styles. Yeah. Jake trying to listen to all the 90s music, which 90s had great music. I get it. I listen to a lot of 90s music, but just going into that's just Jake's spirit. They're just trying to bring those good old days back. If I could get this real quick for you, since we say that Ecclesiastes 7. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 10 in the NOT. It says, don't long for the good old days. This is not wise. Because why are we not supposed to long for that? Because, man, listen, we still in captivity.
Yeah.
Okay, it was the 70s, it was the 80s, which I wasn't alive back then. Or we could use, or you brothers, us brothers, we could speak, more relatively, for the 90s, early 2000s. Those some cool times. You had PlayStation, you had Nintendo Wii came out. You had Playboy. What? Not Playboy. What the Game Boy? I'm thinking about Game Boy. Playboy too. But yeah, man. But like that shit. Listen, that the Lord took that spirit out the earth, man. BET Awards. That shit used to be dope.
Yeah.
Jake. Watching the BET Award, but just this year, they said that they're canceling BET Awards now. Hey, but that's a good thing. The water YAHAWASHI, because that's black culture, man. That's a shame and a reproach upon our nation, man. All that, what they rapping and singing about, but hey, we're not supposed to long for the good old days, man. Why? Because we got something to actually look forward to, the kingdom of heaven.
If I may add to you, bro, like they had a couple of years ago, they were changing the jerseys for the basketball because people ain't buying that shit no more like that. At a point in time, that shit was jumping like when the NBA finals, everybody, let's watch the finals. Or let's watch this, let's watch the Super Bowl. Now it ain't jumping like it used to be no more. It ain't that excitement no more. It's showing you the Lord taking the mirth out of this place, man. It ain't all this fun, all this having a good time. Motherfuckers ain't eating right now.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers barely able to pay their rent right now. They mortgage too goddamn high. That's the time period we're in right now, and it ain't fun no more, man. This entertainment shit, this shit getting old. That's why they trying their hardest to try and promote it and shit, but ain't nobody watching this shit no more, man.
Yeah. Bro, even down here in Dallas, downtown Dallas area, Deep Ellum. Bro, Deep Ellum used to be the spot on Friday nights. Brothers that's, older, they speak about how back in the days, early 2000s, it used to be booming. I wasn't out here, but, from the short little time, we've been out here like, man, Deep Ellum used to be cool, but now it's a curfew. It's a curfew out there. They shut it down I think the curfews are like 10 o'clock. That's
So,
still relatively early, you know. But you know, a lot of niggas were shooting each other and fighting and stuff, you know. But that just complements what you're speaking about in the sermon. You know how the Lord's just bringing everything to naught. You know, the mirth of the city is being brought to naught, man.
shit, the fair, even the fair. That shit, the sales in that motherfucker went down drastically. I was seeing news. If you got that shit on the news, you know it's big.
Yeah.
That shit, I think it said it went down almost like $500,000. Like the sales, and how many people that was up in the fair. Because the state fair, that's like a big thing. That used to be a big thing in Texas. Now, niggas weren't going to that shit no more, man. Can't afford that shit. That's it. Ecclesiastes 12, 13, 13 and 3, 12 and 3. Get this Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 3. It reads, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened.
And that's what's happening. The grinding is season, going into these jobs, all these people getting laid off, being replaced by AI, automation, because ultimately the Lord is collapsing this place. And yeah, it may be the so-called white man that's behind it, but really is YAHAWASHI controlling the minds of these wicked elite to crash this system.
Yeah.
Because Esau Edom know that he has a short time. He's seeing all these chariots up on the sky. You know, the AI-3, the Atlas that is supposed to be here in December. You know, so Esau Edom, he's seeing a lot of things. That's why he's trying to get it up and running ASAP, because he don't have as long as he thinks that he has. You know, he had the 2030 agenda, and now he brought it to 2025 because he's seeing all these things. That's why he's trying to speed up the collapse of Babylon the Great. And you see all these people, you know, languishing, mourning, you know, because they don't see the same future that they did 10, 20 years ago, you know, going into looking out the windows and they're darkened because the optimism of Babylon the Great, you know, is being wiped out. You know, that's why all these people are mourning, because back in the day, you know, you could, you know, go to college, you know, get a job. You know, you were able to get a job right out of college. You know, now you got people with master's degrees, PhDs, that are no longer able to get jobs. You know, people with 30 years experience that aren't even able to get a job at McDonald's. You know, that's letting you know what times we're in. Ultimately, we're at the collapse of this empire of Babylon the Great.
A lot of these jobs, like employees, the most expensive thing. So jobs trying to cut down on that shit. They can't afford y'all no more, man. That's why they brought a lot of these migrants over here. They can pay them fucking pennies like shit, and they'll work way harder than a lot of these people in America. So that's another reason why a lot of people getting replaced. See, these foreigners coming over there working their ass off, going crazy, making $20 an hour. They put numbers up, man. And that's been happening for years, man. Like brothers going into. But all this stuff is showing a decline in this place.
Yeah.
This Ecclesiastes 12 and 4. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low.
Yeah, that's what's happening. And you have all these different businesses, restaurants, music venues being shut down because people don't have that expendable income, you know, that extra income left over at the end of the month. They'll go out like they used to. You know, so now that's why you have all these different restaurants talking about that, you know, nobody's going. So they're having to shut down, they're having to close down.
Denny's closing all their restaurants.
Yeah.
Which nobody was talking. Brothers was talking last night. Nobody really went there anyway.
Yeah,
They were trash.
That is good.
Waffle House, a lot of their stores, a lot of their restaurants are closing. You know, it's just a lot of places in general. You know,
Yeah.
GM, Ford, you know, Nissan. GM is laying off thousands, man. I know a few people out here in the Arlington area, you know, because, you know, they got a GM plant out here in DFW. I know a few people that's, you know, just about to get laid off or did get laid off.
Even with the shutdown, a lot of people that's in government jobs ain't getting paid right now. They still not getting paid. Like, you know, my woman, her best friend, she waited fucking Tokyo and ain't been getting paid. I got a girl cousin that she in the military, she in the Air Force. She ain't been getting paid, man.
Hey.
And it's not gonna change until they sign on something for the government to come back on. So a lot of motherfuckers being affected right now, man.
And then Trump is saying that you're not guaranteed, like federal workers that's got laid off, they're not guaranteed to get back pay. even though in his previous administration he signed a law to where, or signed some type of, he signed something. This is all witchcraft, bro. We signed it, we signed it. But anyway, according to them, according to him, he signed something in his last administration to where they promised there would be back pay if federal workers were to be furloughed. But now we're in 2025, federal workers are furloughed, and now they're not, and now he's not promising that. That's why Scripture says having confidence in an unfaithful man in times of trouble is like chewing with a broken tooth or walking with a foot out of joint, man. It's gonna hurt like hell. But at the end of the day, man, hey, we just in them times. I remember Elder Yatazak said it, to his brothers. Hey, he's like, hey, brothers, yeah, we in Babylon the Great is fallen, but we in this bitch. It's fallen, but we in it, meaning what? We're gonna feel the effects of it. But what is our disposition of spirit to be like? Are we supposed to, oh my God? No, man, this is what we've been praying for. We've been, hey, Acts 14:22, through much tribulation shall we enter to the kingdom. So we're feeling the squeeze tighter, it's getting tighter and tighter, but what you gonna do? Are you still gonna trust in YAHAWASHI? He's honoring our prayers and our curses, man, that we put up on this place.
Well, that's the spirit you say that, bro. Because like we see past this place.
Yes.
We looking at the bigger picture. So it's like a chick. If your mind says like this is temporary shit, you ain't gonna be mad. Shit, leave your ass. I'm like whatever. That's how we looking at Babylon the Great. We looking at these things. All these possessions we got, our job, some of our women, our families, a lot of these things we expecting them to leave. It'll be cool if they stay, but we expecting them to leave. And we know that it's temporary. So that's why we're not that spirit of like, oh, y'all through when we lose stuff, because the Lord told us it's gonna happen. I got this for you.
God, this is Revelations chapter 2. Revelations chapter 2 and verse 10. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So in other words, man, we have been warned of these things that we are going to have to suffer. We are going to, going to have to deal with the shit in Babylon. Because as the brother said, man, we in Babylon, right? Gas prices going up, food going up. Guess what? We're feeling that.
You got
job losses. There's some brothers that are feeling that too.
Yep.
So, but Lord told us to fear none of those things. Ultimately, why? Because the difference between everybody else is that we have the Lord, they don't.
Right.
Right, as it says in Jeremiah 17 chapter, it goes into like, blessed is he that trusts in the Lord and who hope that he is, man. For he's like a tree that's planted along along the water. So we're blessed to have this wisdom and knowledge and understanding, because we got something we can rely on. We have hope. But for everybody else, they ain't got no hope, man. They lost, man. So don't fear none of those things that you will suffer, because Lord, he knows what we need, and he gonna take care of his elect. Isaiah the 65, chapter 65, verse 13, 14, 15, around that area. My servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. So the Lord constantly reminds you of like, you ain't got nothing to worry about, man. If you fear me, you ain't got nothing to worry about. That's why I said, fear of the Lord brings strong confidence, which is strong faith, firm faith. Yeah, strong faith. So if you're fearing the Lord like you're supposed to, doing what's asked of you, then you be good. You good. That's fine, you got it.
I got this. This Psalms 34:19. You got it, bro. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but YAHAWASHI delivered him out of them all.
Yeah.
So we may have, or we're in the same predicament, of the economy collapsing and failing. Brothers, certain brothers getting laid off. Brothers' hours getting cut. Inflation at an all-time high. But YAHAWASHI is going to keep those who are going to put his trust and faith in him. While the rest of the world is putting their trust in America and Babylon the Great and a failing economy, the elect, they're going to be putting their trust and faith in YAHAWASHI. Because, that's why the scriptures say, they're written, or roughly paraphrasing, when were the righteous
forsaken and seed and bread? I got you. That's Psalms 37. I'll get it for you, bro.
Yeah, because the righteous, they've always been in all these past captivities, under the Egyptians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans. But YAHAWASHI always kept that remnant, from the rest of the calamities that were taking place. During the time of Egypt, YAHAWASHI was keeping Israel, in the land of Goshen, while the rest of the Egyptians, they were getting plagued. They were seeing all these different apparitions, They were getting hit by all these different, plagues. But Yahweh Shemel Shai kept the nation of Israel, and that's going to be the same thing today. Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to keep his elect, from all these different calamities. Yeah, we're going to be in the midst of it, but really, this is for the wicked of our people and for these heathens.
Yeah. That's what you told. It's Psalms 37 and verse 25. It says, I have been old and now, but it's like it. Read it again. Psalms 37, 25. I have been young and now am old. Yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread.
Going into all the accounts of our different forefathers. They were all in different famines, different plagues during the time of Elijah. He ran into that widow, and he got fed. But ultimately, what was he doing? He was fully putting his trust and faith in Yahweh Shemel Shai. That's what the elect are going to be doing in these last days, because very soon we're going to have to walk away from the system. We're going to have to fully go off the grid because of what's coming. That mandatory MOTB is going to come upon the whole world. But we know that ultimately we're going to have to walk away from this life. We're going to, like it says in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16, some of them are going to be killed. Going into how we're going to be, detached from this society, detached from this grid. Because once that MOTB gets made mandatory, we're not going to be able longer to buy and sell, rent an apartment, fill up our gas tank. So that's when we're fully going to have to just, detach from this place and have faith in Yahweh Shemel Shai to keep us. But only the elect are going to have that faith, while the rest of these wicked ass Jakes and they're going to take that Karagma because they have no faith.
This second Ezra chapter 16, I'm going to start at verse 40. It says, O my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth.
Going into the mindset that we should have in these last days. We're not here to establish ourselves for another 100, another 200 years, like the wicked ass Jakes are doing. These so-called Christians, these other Israelite camps that are telling their congregation, to get comfortable, that everything's okay. We're in a time of peace and safety. But ultimately they're lying. Really, the wrong mindset to have is to be in that pilgrim spirit. That pilgrim mindset, detaching yourself from all these different worldly things that we're so used to, all the different comforts. Because very soon we're gonna have all these comforts of having a home, a roof over our heads. Like the beloved elder apostle Dahar said, we're gonna have to be homeless. That's the times we're about to come into.
This verse 41. It says, he that selleth, let him be as one that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose. He that occupieth merchandise, as he that hath no profit by it, and he that buildeth, as though he shall not dwell therein.
And we're not here to dwell forever and whatever we have built up, in his society, in his life, in America. Because very soon that's all about to be taken away. And that's what's about to happen to these people, to these Babylonians that put all their eggs in this one basket, in their house, their car, their white picket fence, the family, the dog, their 401k maxed out. That's what they're putting their trust in. But very soon that's about to be wiped out. Esau Edom's about to wipe all that out, and they're not gonna have any comfort. They're not gonna have any answers. But ultimately, that's what's gonna happen to those who put their trust in Esau Edom, the so-called white man.
This verse 43. He that soweth as if he shall not reap, so also he that planted the vineyard, as he that shall not gather the grapes. They that marry, as they that shall get no children, and they that marry not, as the widowers. And therefore they that labor in vain.
So you still have a lot of people that have that hope, that America's going to continue. You still have people sending their kids off to college, to get a PhD, to be in college for 20 years, not knowing what's about to come upon the planet Earth. And really all these people that are, in these high esteemed jobs, CEOs, executives, that think that America is going to continue as it is, they're getting laid off as well. So even all these people that are in so-called recession-proof jobs, they're about to feel the squeeze too. Because really that's the main target, all these people with these high-paying jobs. And they're about to find out, what happens when you trust in oppression, when you trust in Esau, you consistent. Ultimately he's going to stab you in the back because it's nothing new.
I mean, actually, bro, look at these damn rappers. Every fucking rapper, you know how Jake will see random shit on our feed. You got niggas like Soldier Boy and all these niggas, they got fucking YouTube pages now. They trying to make podcasts and shit because niggas ain't getting no money like that, man. They ain't popping like that no more. You see? Because they was already in debt. Those contracts you saw put them niggas through, instead of to keep their ass in debt forever. You go forever, like that album don't hit, whatever the contract, like whatever our contract was that you signed for, if your album don't hit that amount, you're gonna be sacrificed. You're gonna have to keep doing shit to make up for that shit, man. And that's what it's set to do. So a lot of these niggas, they over here doing YouTube channels, they over here doing streaming, playing video games and shit. You supposed to be a rapper, man. I thought you was a rapper. Now everybody trying to make a YouTube page, do all that, because they ain't getting paid like that, bro.
Yeah.
Like brothers going into the murder places just leaving, man.
Yeah, talking about that. Well, honestly, I was about to say, you know, all these Jake getting these podcasts talking about women, but really, you don't really hear. I mean, it's still around, but that it kind of it came and it went.
It did.
You know, because that was a fast. See, our apostles, like there's a reason why we do this. Starting with our apostles, because it's in the scriptures. Jake that just wanted to get on the bandwagon and think it was a fad and ride the wave. A lot of them niggas, they done kind of faded away. Now they talking about other stuff like No Fugazi and what's the other dude's name? Fresh and Fit. Now they talking about like other stuff, like more prophetical stuff. But you know who they listening to.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of Jake, they're not even really talking about women or submit. You know. Yeah, sit there, bro. Like, bro, we in the fucking end of the world, bro. Ain't nobody worried about no fucking woman, man. Now, if you get some box, cool, but man, that ain't on Jake's mind no more, bro. Well, it is, but you know.
That's my attitude. They arguing with fucking Israelites.
Yeah,
they doing that on their videos.
Exactly. That's it.
I thought you was supposed to be teaching.
And that proves who they've been watching the whole time, man.
Yeah.
Drewski. That proves who they've been watching. Anton Daniels came up to the brothers up there in Detroit last year. Oh, y'all dusties, you know. But that just proves, bro, they be watching, and that's why they go back to their little podcast. You know, that's what you guys say. You talk down upon they little podcast. They go back to their little podcast and talk their shit, as if they just came up with all the information of their own.
Because that made me think about that's how you. That's why the scripture said, man, they shall know a prophet been among them.
Yeah.
Because the deep down inside, man, they like that. The people that are listening, they know that what we're saying is true.
Yep.
Right. Or at least, you know, in their head, a great possibility. But you know, they choose. These people choose to be willingly ignorant, right? Trying to act like, you know what? Nah, it just ain't gonna happen. Disregarding the fact of what's going on right in front of their face, man. They can't. It's gonna get to the point to where it's just completely undeniable. Right? It's damn near getting to that now. That's why they watch this now.
Yeah.
Making kids think the shit is funny. Right? Cool, man. You do that. All right, we out there even more now. Even more of a reason there's no cloak for you said, man. Right? Even more of a reason there's no excuse. You heard about the Hebrew Israelites. Right? You had a chance to repent, but you want to go do whatever the fuck you want to do. Right? Go ahead and say, like the person say, stay on your little podcast and just keep talking your shit. Right? Because when that day comes, man, bro, we gonna be ones, we gonna have the last laugh. Woo. At the end of the day, we gonna have the last laugh with y'all goofies.
Yeah.
Right? We gonna see what gays you be like, this that nigga don't talk shit. Get them all by a bear or some shit.
Yep.
Right? Whoever else, you know, that did, you know, the men of the Lord wrong, man. We gonna see that shit. The Lord gonna put his spirit on us to laugh at you.
Well, look at Polite. We laughing now. That nigga up there in the prison house, underneath the prison house, folding Big Earl's drawers. You know?
Being real polite.
Yeah, real polite. Oh shit.
This Proverbs 19 and verse 29. You got it, bro. Judgments are prepared for scorners and stripes for the back of fools.
Going to these scoffers and mockers. You know, just like Drewski, what he did last week. You know, what happened to Mike Epps and his partner? You know, one of them got put to death. And, you know, Mike Epps apologized. So what do you think's about to happen to Drewski? And all these scoffers and mockers that keep talking shit, thinking that all the idle words that they're speaking are going to be accounted for. You know, YAHAWASHI is just having the angel recording all the shit that they're doing. You know, all the shit talking, all the scoffing and mocking. You know, so whenever the Lord does come down upon them with that judgment, they're going to remember, like, damn, you know, they said that this was going to happen. You know, because a lot of brothers, they're saying that, you know, Drew's is going to have a heart attack. You know, and that just might be the case.
Look at him. He about to be Fruski.
Got this for you. Yeah, this Proverbs 15 and verse 3. It says, the eyes of YAHAWASHI are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. It's like the brothers going into these dudes talking shit. The Lord put in their spirit to do that shit, man. Just like the Lord put it in a homeless person's spirit to come over here jumping around, fucking with the signs, talking shit. The brothers doing all that shit. The Lord wants that to happen because He want to kill them.
Yeah.
That's the reality. A lot of these people out here in Texas, the Dallas camp is a big camp. We got brothers that's over there. We got the elders over here. The Lord wants these niggas to hear this word so He can kill them later.
Yeah.
That's the truth, man. The Lord want to kill the majority of these people. He don't want them to get it. See? And that's the reality. The Lord put in their spirit to scoff and scorn and talk shit because He want to kill them, man. And that's the reality. The Lord want to do a lot of killing. That's what we're going to soon see in these times, man. I got this for you too. This 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 3 and 4. Yeah, you got it, bro. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost.
And that's the majority of our people, the 2/3 of the wicked of the nation of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, because they look at what we're doing and then they're like, damn, you know, that's of no importance. You know, y'all just out there looking crazy, bugged out with dresses on, you know, shower curtains. That's what our people see it as, not knowing that this is the beginning, you know, of a legacy of YAHAWASHI establishing the kingdom on the planet Earth. The majority of our people don't see that because, you know, it looks foolish to them. You know, it's supposed to look foolish because, like the scripture says, it's supposed to confound the wise of this world, you know, with this wisdom. You know, that's why it's only meant for the elect. It's not supposed to be meant for the whole nation of Israel, yet alone for the whole world. You know, because majority of our people, they're not meant to receive it. They're supposed to keep talking shit, keep mocking, keep scoffing until they get put to death. Because YAHAWASHI didn't open up their minds and ears, you know, spiritually to receive it.
Yeah, we crazy, but just last week, yeah, motherfuckers with a fucking Flintstone costume on, got a big ass fucking wig on his head. We the ones that look crazy. Yeah, all right, nigga. And then you even got guys, you got these freaking Fruit Loops. You know, they wearing dresses, painting their fucking nails. You know what I'm saying? Got fake ass hair, but we look crazy. Okay, that's yeah. We'll take that all day. And guess what? The Most High looking at y'all, and y'all talking that shit. It is gonna be your judgment later, man.
Yep.
It's verse 4 for you, bro. This 2 Corinthians 4 and 4. In whom the power of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Yahawashi, who is the image of the Heavenly Father, should shine upon them.
Yeah, so the God of this world, you know, Satan and his spiritual, physical counterpart, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. He's blinded majority of our people, you know, with black culture, the American dream, you know, the Babylonian wine,
Snap.
feminism, welfare, Section 8, you know, 9 to 5s, the BET, MTV. You know, so the majority of our people, they've been blinded by Satan because YAHAWASHI didn't want them to receive the truth. That's why majority of our people are just going to have to get put to death. You know, it don't matter how many times you tell them, you know, your family members, friends that you had in the world, you know, your co-workers. You can tell them till you get blue in the face, and then they're not going to receive it because YAHAWASHI didn't put it up on his spirit to receive the truth. You know, only the certain amount of Israelites, you know, starting with 144,000, the rest of the elect, those are the only ones who are going to know this song.
No, I got it. Wait, got some?
Oh, you done?
Yeah.
All right. This Matthew chapter 12 and verse 36. I'm gonna start at verse 36. It says, and you got it. It says, but I say unto you that every idle word that man shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. You got it, bro.
God, going into how YAHAWASHI is having these angels write everything down, and you know that these scoffers and mockers are talking. I know all the shit talking that they're doing, starting with all these other Israelite camps and know better, but yet they're talking down on you know the apostles and elders. You know, they're talking down on certain men of the Bible. You know, the Apostle Paul, John the Baptist. You know, YAHAWASHI is writing all that down. He's not gonna let all these jakes, you know, go unpunished. You know, in their mindset, they think because they're keeping on, you know, they keep doing it. You know, YAHAWASHI hasn't judged them yet. In their mindset, they have, well, I'm gonna keep getting away with it. You know, I'm talking shit.
I got these. Back in Matthew chapter 12 and verse 37. It says, for by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned.
Going to these jakes in the world that are, scoffing and talking shit, that refuse to take heed to YAHAWASHI shot. Drewski, what happened to Polite, and these other podcasters, they think that, it's just, it's not significant to what they're doing out there on the highways and byways. They crazy, they bugged out. But really the Lord is writing all that down, and he's reserving them for the day of judgment. Because really he wants a lot of them to take that MOTB. He wants a lot of them to have all that so-called wealth get taken away, and Esau Edom offer it back to them, by taking that Karagum. But that's ultimately YAHAWASHI has reserved for all these shit talkers, all these, podcasters, these celebrities that refuse to turn back to YAHAWASHI.
Yeah, that's it on that for me.
Got this three. This Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 11, because you quoted it earlier. It says, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the hearts of the Son of Men is fully set in them to do evil. So like the brothers going into, man, they like, since the judgment will happen right then and there, they'll talk some shit. They doing these, they'll do their little show. They'll have some nigga that ain't been in the truth a year on their little podcast, art, and they make him look confounded. And then they want to trying to shit on the prophets. And then you got some of these camps, man. These camps is the one who really the Lord finna judge, because they know better. They not teaching the true names. They denouncing the importance of certain men of the Lord, who paved the way for us to be out here. You see, that's who's really finna get that fucking judgment, man. And it's not no fucking game. The Lord don't play it. Like, the Lord don't play about what you're doing to his sheep. YAHAWASHI died for the sheep, man. So all these people teaching this bullshit, not teaching the true names, you see, treating the men of the Lord wrongfully. They got certain people in their camp not teaching them the right doctrine. They getting over on them, treating them like shit. They be coming out with these things on they after they fall out. They'll leave the camp and they exposing that shit, man. And you got a special judgment for you, man. Like Lord finna come and visit them, man.
Yeah, because the whole age of a marriageable woman, that's been a topic this week, and it's been broken down over and over again. But yet Jake is still talking shit, calling this rapist, talking all this mess. But YAHAWASHI is taking note of that, because you've been told, time over about what the true breakdown of it is. But yet, they refuse to acknowledge, because they want to be accepted by the world. They want to teach that friendly worldly doctrine. But YAHAWASHI is not dealing with that.
So 2nd Ezra chapter 8 and 55 in the GNT. This the angel Uriel speaking to the prophet Ezra, as Ezra was asking a laundry list of questions of what's going to happen to the wicked, what's going to be their judgment, why. So this is what the angel said. He says, so don't ask any more questions about the large number of people who are lost. For when they had the opportunity to choose, they despised YAHAWASHI, had contempt for his law, and refused to follow his ways. In addition, they mistreated the righteous servants of the Most High.
That's evident out. Like brothers going into, they mistreating right now. You got guys tinting all this money. You ain't even gonna tell them what the true names of the Lord is, man. You ain't gonna tell them what the MOTB is, man. They giving you all that money. See? Nigga driving around nice ass cars. Oh, we keeping a Feast of Tabernacles. Y'all in the nice ass Airbnb where everybody else got their ass outside in the fucking tent. Yeah, all that shit you're doing, the Lord documenting all that stuff, man. It's gonna be a special judgment for you, man. Like the brothers going into. You got it.
2nd Chronicles 36 and 15 NLT. The Lord YAHAWASHI, the power of their ancestors, repeatedly sent his prophets to warn them, for he had compassion on his people and his temple. Proving that this ministry is ultimately, the Lord's compassion, him opening up, mercy. But look how Jake is treating it. Verse 16, but the people mocked these messengers of the Most High and despised their words. They scoffed at the prophets until the Lord's anger could no longer be restrained and nothing could be done.
Yeah, and that's going into who the true prophets are. Those who are being talked down upon, who are being persecuted, by our own people. Starting with our apostles and elders on down. Because these Christian churches, they're not being talked down upon. These other Israelite camps, they're not being talked down upon. No, instead, they're loved by the world. That's why they have a large following. That's why they have tens of thousands of followers, and nobody really talks down upon them. No, but that's ultimately letting you know who YAHAWASHI is really dealing with. He's not dealing with these camps that are loved by the world, that nobody's really coming up against them, especially Esau. Edom. They got 100,000 followers, but Esau Edom's not taking their pages down. But you have a brother with 100 subscribers, and he just says one word that triggers the algorithm, and it gets taken down. That's letting you know who the Lord's really dealing with.
Yeah. If I can say, today we seen a. Y'all know how YouTube be translating the
Transfer.
translating
Yeah,
the
like,
videos, right?
Yeah.
closed caption.
Like no, well that, but I'm saying like
Transcribing it.
no, I'm talking about like actual voiceovers. You have your phone settings is English or Spanish? English, okay. Well, if you change your phone settings to Spanish, YouTube is gonna translate a lot of English videos to Spanish audio translation to where the actual audio is translated.
Oh,
Right? So, for example, if you set your phone to Spanish, right? You can change the language.
yeah.
And you come across a news, like a 2-minute news clip, and it's in English, it'll translate the actual audio. That's a new thing that YouTube has done this year. And basically, one thing it won't translate or one thing it won't repeat is the name of the Lord. One thing it won't repeat is the name of the Lord. Talking about the AI voice. It doesn't repeat the name of the Lord. So Esau knows. He knows, like when we say the name of the Lord, just it triggers something in the algorithm. Like, okay, we're gonna put this video in a certain category. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just one of the ways we know that.
But they do it. It's like what they do. Do they just like bleep it out, or
It doesn't say anything.
Oh, they don't say nothing.
It doesn't say anything.
Have you tried it with like some other BS names like Yahweh or whatever?
Yeah, it'll say Jehovah.
Oh wow. Oh, Joe.
But it won't say YAHAWASHI.
But that's Revelation 11:8, where also our Lord was crucified. That's just them steadily trying to, crucify and, X out, Yahweh by Shemashai, his ways, his name, his character, this doctrine, this truth. But the damage is already done. The elect is sealed, bro. Close to it, if not already. So there's nothing this devil can do. You can do nothing against the truth before it. Ultimately, the reason why YouTube updated his algorithm like that, because the Lord wanted them to, man. He put the spirit upon them to do that. Because this ministry is pretty much, this phase of the ministry that is pretty much almost at the end. That's why Elder Pastor Hart, told his brothers this week, PSA announcement, every brother should have an Odyssey and a BitShoot account, because now it's getting to the point to where now particular, brothers' whole page is being taken down, and like your username, your account, everything's all, because YouTube changed their requirements a few months ago with this AI digital biometric verification. So really, it's like it's linked to you personally. So if you try to create another page, it's not going to let you. So yeah, we go on to different platforms, man. So, but that's ultimately the family of the word brewing up, man.
We had an incident that happened maybe a few days ago, or it might have been here yesterday. Here in Texas, somebody actually got approached by the police about what they said online. So and it's of course small hat rhetoric, anti-small hat rhetoric is why they approached them. So here in Texas, so you see things like that. And they didn't get taken into custody or anything like that, but they just came to their house and said, "We seen what you was posting online. We want to check things out, make sure you was harmless." And he told them pretty much get off their property. He didn't have a search warrant. So, but just showing you that we in the system, they're tracking things, but it's gonna cause us to be approached at the end of the day. It's gonna cause family of the word.
Shit, if I'm not mistaken, then something similar like that happened. Well, not they didn't get approached, but like with the Cybertruck situation, I'm pretty sure brothers are aware about it. Basically, how somebody Cybertruck basically shut off basically in the middle of the highway because of something that they said like online that was like against what they wanted.
Yeah. Yep.
So I was like, damn. So they coming for if you got an electrical car, I'm pretty sure it's probably gonna happen to Tesla too. Well, no, that's part of Tesla, but it was still this Cybertruck specifically. So that Esau, he really cracking down on like freedom of speech. really ain't gonna be no freedom of speech, man. You do this and say this, or you get in the fucking boot, right? And it's really gonna be magnified when the MOTB is made mandatory, man, right? Because then they're really gonna be able to track what you're doing, what you're saying. Oh, you said this, shut your shit out, man. You can have all this money, you can have your credit can be good or whatnot. Credit score done drop, your money you can't buy shit, right? So Esau, man, he pretty much got y'all in the trick bag, man. If y'all take that shit, because if y'all take it, man, ain't nothing. Y'all lose it regardless. The scripture says, "He that save his life shall lose it."
Yeah.
Right. This is the damn devil we dealing with, man, which goes into deceiver, man. So Esau, he ain't got no true intention, good intention with y'all people, right? He only thing he wants is just total control, man. Total control and be looked at as the most high.
Yeah.
That's it, bro.
But y'all It's Sirach, known as Ecclesiastes chapter 12. I'm gonna start at verse 10. It says, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness." Right.
And never trusting your enemy. You got to know who your enemy is. Majority of our people don't know who their true enemy is. Their number one adversary, the so-called white man Esau Edom. Because a lot of our people still have that mindset that, Esau Edom has my best interests. Maybe he's not gonna fuck me over this time. Knowing damn well he's been fucking you over since he came over here to America. So he's not gonna change. He's not meant to change because a lot of our people are hoping that the so-called white man is gonna change his ways. But the scripture says otherwise. Can a leper change his spots? Can somebody who's used to doing wickedness change his way? No. The so-called white man cannot change his ways. He's supposed to be wicked because YAHAWASHI created him to be that way. And knowing that, now we know to not trust him. We know to not trust in his science. We know to not trust in his system. And then we know damn well not to trust in his charagma that he's about to implement upon planet Earth. But majority of the earth, they're gonna trust in that MOTB because they don't know who their enemy is.
Yeah, if I can make a quick point, because it's just kind of dawned on me now, because some people like to say that we're not slaves anymore, or it's not as bad as like slavery. What makes this so much worse is pretty much what you're going through right now. The fact that people don't know who the fuck their enemy is now. Right back then, at least when hardcore slavery, at least you knew who your enemy was. Nowadays, we live in a time to where people think the enemy's a damn friend, right? And as the brothers you was going to Sirach 12. So as the brother was going into, or I think it was going to a Sirach 12, never trust thy enemy, for was his wicked. Matter of fact, I'm just getting it real quick. This is Sirach chapter 2. I'm gonna get it. Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10. It says, "Never trust thy enemy, for like his iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humbled himself and go crouching, yet took good heed of him. Beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as thou hast wiped the looking glass, and thou shalt know the rust hath not been altogether wiped away." Going into how this nigga is not going to change, right? Altogether, man. You at the end of the day, you're going to find out that Esau, he's always been that same fuck nigga that he been since all the way back, going back to the garden, right? So, yeah, y'all got that. Sorry. That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's right.
Malachi 4:1. It says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up." God says Malachi 4:1 from the top. "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven."
Right, the day cometh. The day is approaching. See, this judgment that's about to take place on this earth, man, and a lot of people haven't considered. A lot of job jollivity, jolly is going around celebrating holidays, quote unquote holidays, But see, a judgment is taking place. Go ahead.
Yep. Malachi 4:1.
It is about to be a lot more of that. A lot more screaming, man. A lot more crying, a lot more turmoil, shortages.
Says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble."
Yeah, all the proud, man. Everybody that abides within this society, the confines of the society, are the proud, the brave, home of the free. All those is, hey, they embody this place, man. A quote unquote liberty, liberty to do what you want to do. You know, any sin, any lust that you got, you can go ahead and obey your thirst. You know, any kind of pride that you carry, you just walk around with it and think you're gonna be unpunished. You know, but those days is coming to a close. You know, a lot of this pride is now being humble. You know, a lot of people that used to be able to go to the grocery store and swipe a card that was given to them by the U.S. government, now that's being taken away. Now they got to stand outside of the food bank. You know, hopefully get some food for the day. Hopefully look for a place to stay to keep themselves warm. You know, taking away certain things. A lot of people that had good jobs, now they got to work. You know, at these Uber Eats. You know, or try to fight their way up at a busting down tables, cleaning dishes. You know, if they could get that. But see, it's gonna climax into that final judgment. But we seeing the small taking away of people's pride right now, being humble. You know,
Yep. Malachi 4:1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh that shall burn them up, saith YAHAWASHI of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch.
yeah, it's gonna leave them neither root nor branch. You know, going into that lineage. See, the posterity, the people that are in rulership today, they're gonna be no more because of the way that they rule, because of the things that they did upon the planet Earth. See, it's gonna be no more Edomites because of the things that they've done upon the earth. To our people are continuing to do, and the things they've had done, they have done. See,
And if I can add, it's even they're gonna be no more. Really, technically, not even because of things that they've done, but also because of predestination. Romans the 9th chapter. But the children not being born, neither having done any good or evil, but that the purpose of the Most High shall stand according to election. So really, Esau was created to be destroyed, even before he even put his hands upon the Most High's chosen people.
yep, he was chosen to be destroyed. But see, the reason that the Lord had it to where He did things is to is to still accuse him in the court of law, man.
Right.
You know, but he was naturally inclined to just be a demon on the earth. You know, that's just the spirit that the Lord gave him. You see, and his tab is being fulfilled. But we're going to see the effect of that, the effect of wickedness upon the earth.
Sirach 10:12, right? Yep. This is Sirach chapter 10 and verse 12. The beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High.
Yep. And you see, a lot of our people are holding on to that proud-like nature by holding on to what Esau Edom has taught them, by likening themselves as forgetting their maker. All right, not coming back to the remembrance of these scriptures, not coming back into this calling. See, that's that separation that they have from YAHAWAH and YAHAWASHI.
Sirach 10 and verse 12 again. The beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High, and his heart is turned away from its maker. Verse 13. For pride is the beginning of sin. He that hath it shall pour out abomination.
Yeah, he that hath it shall pour out abominations. See, for instance, the LGBT people, man. Yeah, you know, but they're pouring out abominations. You know, a lot of these people that have that call themselves American, that associate themselves with the ways of this world, associate themselves with the ways of this lifestyle, they're finding out that it's a death style, man. And they're pouring out abominations. It's being shown. You see?
Yeah, it's like a fire hydrant. You know, it just pours out. Like, really, when you don't have the fear of the Lord, bro, there's no limit.
Yeah.
There's no checks and balances with you. You know? Like, we're literally in a world filled with people that literally have no standard in life.
Yeah.
If you don't have the fear of the Lord, bro, anything goes. Like, you can't trust this nigga around your woman, around your children, around your wallet, you know? So that's why we're praying for a righteous kingdom to be set up. 2 Peter 3rd chapter, we're hastening righteousness, man. You know, to where hey, it's gonna be a harsh, brutal check, man. You know, you try to wiggle around the earth without checking yourself without the fear of the Lord, man.
You know, because we see what goes on whenever a society is ran by just this YOLO spirit, relativism. Everything is subjective. There is no truth. Everything is gray. You see?
Yeah.
It just pours out, just leaks out abominations, man. You got it, bro.
And it's being fed to them on a daily. They get affirmed by their, you know, their algorithm, the things that they see on TV. They get affirmed that that's right. You know, they get, you know, they watch a snowfall, and then they learn more wickedness. You know, you tell a nigga your first and last name, and you got to damn near check your credit. You know, it's just like you can't trust anybody out here, man.
You got it. I got a quick one.
Exodus 20:5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord Yahawah, thy power, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Now I got that because what the brothers was just going into, pretty much going into the 2/3 of our people, the degenerates of our nation, man. This is why when Yahawashi returns, all right, when Yahawashi returns, he's going to be in that spirit. He's going to be in that Isaiah 63rd spirit of coming back to judge niggas, man. Treading that wine fat, okay, which represents the people, okay? The Lord is coming back to tread on 2/3 of the wicked of the nation of Israel, man, along with the heads of these other nations that's currently ruling the planet Earth, okay? But 2/3 of our people, you play a big part in that, man, okay? If it was left up to you, if it, like the scripture saying in Isaiah the 1st chapter, man, if it weren't for the remnant, man, we would have been as like in Sodom and Gomorrah, you know? Leave it up to a 2/3 nigga, and we'll be in Babylon forever, you know?
And you know, that spirit is prevalent. Matter of fact, can you read that again?
I got you. Exodus 20:5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them.
And speaking of idols,
Yep.
you know, we should not bow down to idols, man. And Babylon the Great is an idol. You know, a lot of things, a lot of symbols that people, you know, are moved by. A lot of you know, even the money, the structure, these systems that they have in place, when they're not designed by coincidence. Usually they're in the form of worshiping an idol. You know, whether it be money, your job, these political parties, the people within it. You know, the leaders.
I'm getting down on one knee, asking a bitch to bury you, man.
Right. Yep. Idols. You know, your alma mater. That's an idol, man. You see. So we aren't to associate ourselves with the ways of the society, and our people do. When the Lord has specifically told them not to. That's degenerate. That's going backwards because you're losing the progress that we've made over time. You got it.
Verse 5 again in Exodus the 20th chapter. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord Yahawah, thy power, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
Yeah, visiting the iniquity of the fathers unto the third and fourth generation, man. Showing you that when you come back, there is going to be a recompense. There will be a judgment that's served. And as the brother just read, you know, earlier, just because sentence against the evil work is not executed instantly does not mean that, you know, the Lord is not going to judge you. You know, that's why people's hearts they feel like they can do whatever they want. There is no a judgment for the things that they do. There's no there's no ass whooping for the bad things that you do on the earth. See, but the Lord got that coming, man. Can you go back to that Sirach 10?
Yeah, I got you.
Finish it out.
You said 13. Sirach 10 and 13. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that have it shall pour out abominations. And therefore the Lord brought up upon them strange calamities.
Yeah, strange calamities. You know, like for instance, those children that was mocking Elijah. That was a strange calamity. See, all right, because of that pride, right?
Oh, when the Lord struck those Hamites with hemorrhoids.
Oh yeah,
That's a strange calamity, bro.
Yeah.
Like, hemorrhoids, damn. Or sending some wasp and bees after your ass.
Yeah.
That's strange, man.
Yeah.
Wasp, kill your ass.
Man.
Yeah.
And hemorrhoids can kill you, bro.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, strange calamities, man. You know, die sudden. But that's a strange calamity. You know? Having you know, HIV, man. That's a very strange calamity. You know, that pride. You know, taking a selfie and then getting hit by a fucking car. A lot of people is getting judged. They going assed out.
Monkeypox.
Yeah, monkey. Yeah. Hey, that's a bad way to go out, man. And we're gonna see more of that. We're gonna see more occurrences of that. You see, and that's a recompense of that pride, of that degenerate behavior. So you're gonna get a degenerate way to go out. You know. Hey, you got it.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, it's going well, I know that's heat. A lot of
but it's good.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Keep going. Wherever you know, what I'm saying.
Verse 14, the Lord YAHAWASHI has cast down the throne of proud princes.
Yeah, hey, the Lord has cast down the throne of proud princes. Look at Pharaoh. You see? And this place is likened unto, Pharaoh. This place is likened unto Egypt. And we're going to see those same things happen again. All right? But before Pharaoh's final judgment, what was happening to his mind? His mind was being hardened. The things that he started to do, the moves that he was making with his enterprise became more outlandish. They became more flagrant in a way where he would gamble with the things that he had just for the act of, let me conquer this. Let me get let me create my period. Let me not let me go against the will of the Lord so I can fulfill my lust. You see? And a lot of these people are trying to do that. See, that's why the Lord has, that hardening in their heart. He's turning a lot of these people reprobate, And you see it by their actions. You see it by them trying to disprove the truth. You see it by them not trying to disprove the idea of there being a God that's going to judge the earth. Why would he do that? Well, that's the Lord turning them reprobate in their judgment. And so they're going to move more outlandishly, just as Pharaoh. As the king is, so are the people. You see? You was going to say something?
I was going to get it quick for you. Sirach 5 and 4 in the GNT. I started verse 3. Don't think that no one can exercise authority over you. If you do, the Lord is certain to punish you.
Yeah, and see, the Lord has ordained people to exercise authority over individuals, just as Moses, When Moses came and told Pharaoh, let my people go, well, he was exercising authority over him. But see, the Lord actually exercised authority over the people as well, being him gathering up the people, telling them, hey, this is our power. The Lord has decreed to set our people free today. And now our people said, hey, who are you, man? Who are you? Who gave you authority? Who told you that you could come and tell Israel what to do? Then you killed them Egyptians. Then they was doing a background report on Moses, man. When he's trying to save them and give them the keys to the kingdom. He's trying to get them to a land where they didn't have to serve no other God, no other empire, man.
Yeah, the Lord gives authority for order's sake, not for you to stroke your own ego and pride with it, man. It's simply for order, because that's how you summon the spirit of our power, YAHAWASHI, by being in order.
Right.
That's what gets him on, man. Being in order. So that's why he sets up a chain of command. Is he not a man of war? Every general, every chief of commander, okay, they have a ranking system. They have the rank chain of command. They have order. It keeps everything balanced, keeps everything properly functioning to where we can actually get shit done.
Right.
So for Jake to move in the spirit as if can't nobody exercise authority over him, that's the spirit of a woman.
Yeah.
Babylonian, American, and Western woman, man. But you see the result of that. Your ass through. But there's a little more on here. Verse 4, Sirach 5 and 4, GNT. Here's the point. Don't think that you can sin and get away with it. The Lord does not mind waiting to punish you. Just laying back on the point that you already made through the spirit, man. Ecclesiastes 8, because the sentence against the evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the hearts of the sons of men are fully set in them to do evil. So people, they become desensitized and immune to judgments. Yep. They think that the Lord's judgments, that was a biblical times. Those ancient days. Oh, Cord, Dathan, Abraham, the earth swallowed them up. Oh, that was never coming. Okay. But that's how the Lord, that's the trick bag that the Lord puts you in. Making you think that. Yeah. that 120-year long grace period to where the Lord was through the ministry of the prophet Noah, the sons of God, they were acting crazy, man.
Yeah.
Looking like the other nations. and they thought that they were immune and untouchable to the Lord's judgment until the floods came. Did not Yahawashi say, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the sons of men? You know, so people, they're supposed to be in these spirit. Okay, like when we look at, you know, government shutdown and wars, rumors of wars, and like all this stuff going on, and like to us, it's like, oh my God, man, the prophecy popping off the page, and you know, you get so excited, you know, you looking at everybody else like, damn, bro, like what the fuck? How come they not like they supposed to be in that spirit, man? The Lord wants them like that. Isaiah 66:4, the Lord says, I would choose their delusions. You got to be a special type of stupid, man, in 2025 to really think this shit about to really go on, man. Too much has been said, done amongst all these nations. Too much money and infrastructure and resources have been invested for missiles just to be put up. Bygones be bygones. No, this shit about to get hot. It's about to get nuclear, man.
Exactly. Yep. But see, the Lord has given these people over to blindness. They haven't, and here it is. We trying to shine the light. You know, we trying to shine the light. Even with that light, if you wake up early in the morning and that light come on too quick, you still can't see. You know, it's a minute where that light hits you, but you still like you blinded in a way. It's just by not darkness, still blinded by light. Or just as when Moses came from down on the mount, you know, and they had to put that veil upon them. You know. It's in that same way, that veil is upon their hearts. They can't receive this glorious light that we giving out.
Hey, Paul was blinded by Yahawashi's light. Acts 9 chapter.
Yep.
So yeah, light is also blinding. It gives light, but it also helps you see, but it also blinds you, man. If you can't adjust to it.
Right.
You know? That's why, like, bro, the eyeball itself, like when you look at the retina, the pupil, all the intricate, you know, facets and mechanisms that makes up the human eyeball, that right there proves that Esau's so-called theory of evolution, that shit's a farce, man.
Yeah.
Bro, the eye is so sophisticated, bro.
Yeah.
But we say all that to say, like, your eye has to adjust to light. And scripture says that the eyes of a wise man are in his head. So when you listen to this truth, when you come into encounter with the light, you have to adjust to it. But ultimately, the Lord's Spirit has to be upon you to adjust to it. Right. You know?
Yep.
I got something that I not want to bring out. This is 2 Peter 3:3 through 4. Knowing this verse, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts.
Right. Scoffers. You know, somebody that mocks, somebody that, you know, is an unbeliever. See, but this is gonna happen in the last days. So unwittingly, these people are fulfilling prophecy when they make their skits, when they go around the earth talking about the Hebrew Israelites. They drive down the street and they mock. They blast their horn or they rev their engine and attempt to throw us off. Well, though unwittingly they're mocking themselves and marking themselves for judgment. Yeah. But at the same time, fulfilling prophecy.
And when you get that Greek word, Slakia, you get that Greek word for scoffers there. Yeah, it goes mockers. Yeah, it goes into like, you know, these niggas just walking down the street mocking and scoffing. Yep. But when you get a little deeper, it says false teachers. Yep. Those are the ultimate mockers and scoffers.
Yeah.
You know, saying that Apostle Paul, he's an apostle that teaches idolatry, bro. You're a fucking scoffer, bro.
Yeah.
You're trolling.
Yeah.
And just to retouch on you know, that whole look, because that's the hot topic. You know, Drewski's a little big.
Yeah.
You know, and we know it's he's dressed up as an IUIC member. They're dressed up as IUIC members. You know, nevertheless, you know, we know Jake watches. We know Jake listens, man. You know, you would think it comes into a nigga's mind, okay? Especially here, what we teach here at Great Millstone, like our apostles and elders uphold, man. We teach 100% truth here, man. You would think, regardless of how much fucking money you got, it don't matter. If you listen to a Great Millstone, you will hear what we saying. You would think in a nigga's mind, like, all right, yeah, I might not want to make no video on that. You know, that's you know, the Lord. I see how actually hearing how the Lord is, and I go and all my Bible and it's saying the same thing. The Lord ain't nothing to be fucking played with. You know, you would think it coming to a nigga mind not to play with the Lord, man. You know, but obviously not. So like brother's been saying, if that nigga have a heart attack, it is what it is, man. You know, at the end of the day, the Lord gonna judge Jake regardless, man. How many fucking zeros they got in their bank account, okay? Because if you ain't getting down with this truth, if you ain't getting down with the Lord, then the Lord ain't looking at you, man. You know? The Lord is the Lord Yahawashi is coming back to completely look over 2/3 of his people, man. All right, they're gonna be treated like heathen. They're gonna be judged like the heathen. They're gonna be judged according to the law. All right, because they don't have the blood of Yahawashi covering them, man. You know.
And when you strictly about the word, though, that's all that they could do. Because the scriptures say that the Lord said that He would give us a mouth that they couldn't gainsay. You know, so all you could do is have those attacks, those frivolous attacks. You like level 100 in a game, and then a level 2 enemy try to shoot a bow at you, and it's just bouncing off your armor, and it barely do something. That's how the Lord got it. So they can only have these ad hominem attacks. They can only attack us by names, calling us certain things. Whether that be a rapist or superhero. What they be saying, like a Power Ranger. They be trying to just attack us that way because they can't come up against the word.
Yeah.
And that's what females do when they lose an argument.
Exactly.
They just start talking about some dumb shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why your shoes are small. Just some dumb shit. But we don't argue with bitches no way, bro. Like that's listen, as a man, that is the lowest thing. That's the lowest level you can put yourself. I don't fucking argue with bitches, man. It ain't no back and forth, bro.
Yeah.
But we just say all that to say, that's the energy Jake moving in. Like some fucking women. That's how you know you losing a fucking argument.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you want to deal as a man, hey, let's chop it up with men as men. Let's go toe to toe with information, with wisdom, knowledge, which we're not gonna do that with scoffing, but we're just saying, if you're a man, you would deal intellectually, not in your emotions like a bitch, man.
Yeah. You don't argue with women and children, man. And if we are the elect, well, a lot of these niggas walking around, they're our children,
Yeah, man. See, me. This is me speaking. When a woman likes to say, Eve asked me about, another woman. Bro, I just laugh and I deflect, and I don't answer that shit, bro. I completely laugh in Eve's face and deflect that shit, bro, and just keep it pushing. Man. Don't even entertain Eve. Eve, like the brother just said, women are children, man. Don't entertain them. The more you entertain them, the more they feed off that shit. They love it. They love the arguments. They love the back and forth, man. Don't give a bitch, your time and your energy like that, man.
It's toxic, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so like, yeah.
No, go ahead. I'll come back to you.
All right. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 20. Brethren, be not children in understanding. Howbeit in malice be ye children, but in understanding be men.
Right. Be not children and understand. And a lot of that's a spirit on Israel, in general. You seen that, last week when the individual came up to our elders and tried to question them, almost interrogate them, not knowing anything, not being persuaded in his own mind of what he believes, the people that he follows, not actually searching these things out, and that's a sign for us to understand for ourselves. You see, be not a child in these things, because these mere teachings that we understand, that we go over, religiously, if you will, for lack of a better term, all the time, persistently. Well, it's going to come to a time where we're going to have to actually be tested upon these things, and that test is not a group test. Right now, you can come out here and you can have brothers being helping you with the pronunciation of Hebrew words that you might not have remembered or might have slipped your mind, right? Or you might have biblical prophecies that your brother slightly correct you on, but in a minute, those slip ups will not be addressed. They're going to be tested upon. They're going to be, do you know it or not? Is it this or that? And it's coming to that. And you see a lot of people are not preparing for it. They're studying in a way where they don't actually believe that these things that they're actually going to happen. So the spirit to be in is being like a man. Girding up your loins. Can you read that again?
Oh, yeah, I go back.
Or you had something else too?
Yeah, it's all good. I'll go back to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 14 and verse 20. Brethren, be not children in understanding. Howbeit in malice be ye children, but in understanding be men.
Right, in malice. Malice is like evil, and it's something in a way where you're trying to be crafty on the left hand side, trying to look for an opening, you know, to do some wickedness, and that be children, you know, because children naturally they're giving, they're you know they're righteous in a way, you know, and they don't want to hurt nobody. You act like you know a child hurts you, give them a handshake and act like they you know hurt your hand, they'll instantly stop, naturally, you know, just because they look not to harm nobody. They're usually caring. If you know, little kid want to you know hug your leg. You know, you don't even know this you know little kid. That's how the scriptures tell you to be. You know, naturally be inclined to do righteousness, to be giving. You know, yeah, forgiving. You see, but to be a man in the things that you understand. So that's the balance of how we got to walk in this thing. You know, you gonna say something?
I got a precept.
No.
This is 1 Corinthians 13 and 11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understand as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. You know, that's the time you're coming into. You know, you learn, you grow in the spiritual milk. You get that meat. You know, like you said, you'll be tested. You know, individually.
Yep. And that was always a thing within our culture. As you go through certain ages, right, you would be tested upon, you know, are you ready for this or that? Are you ready for a blessing? You know, especially if you had two sons. Well, that doesn't mean that the oldest son instantly gets the blessing. They have to see, you know, go through certain rites to see if one was ready or not. You know.
Ephesians 4 and 14 in the NLT. Then it says, then we will no longer be immature like children. We won't be tossed and blown about by every wind of new teaching. We will not be influenced when people try to trick us with lies. So clever they sound like the truth.
Yeah. Can you read that again?
Yep. Ephesians 4 and 14 NLT. Then we will no longer be immature like children.
Yeah, see, when you rooted and founded upon the things you was taught, the basics, you're not gonna be immature. It's gonna be a certain way that you walk. You know, wisdom, as scripture say, wisdom changes, you know, your appearance, your features, the way you walk, the way you act, you know, reflecting. It's an inward change because the things you know are in your mind, but then there's an outward way to act, you know, a conduct that comes with it.
God. It says, then we will no longer be immature like children. We won't be tossed and blown about by every wind of new teaching.
Yeah, tossed and turned, man. Everything, you know, you tell a child, you know what I'm saying, like some folly, and they'll believe it. They'll be like, oh, I thought it was like this. Really? It's like that? You know, like, hey, a lot of people that's not situated in what they believe, they're not affirmed in what they believe. They're gonna be moved in every way. So when these AI videos come out and people's deceived, you know, of this new teaching or that new teaching or this new argument against a particular scripture or this new argument against, you know, a teaching, you know, one precept, they change their whole perspective, you know. But we supposed to be rooted in these things, you know, firm. You can't have these things firm in your mind, you know. Your house got to be built.
Hey, Jay be like, damn, maybe the lake of fire is really the river of fire.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, that's a new teacher, bro. Ain't nobody ever like.
Yeah.
But you see a whole slew of Israelites believe that shit, man.
Yeah.
Because they're children, bro. They really don't know what this truth is about, man. You know, these Johnny come lately, bro. We're in 2025, all this shit going on, and you think that the Lord he dealing with you on a higher level than Paul, and he just give you all this information. You know what I mean? And now you come to the conclusion it's really a river of fire.
I know, bro.
Grow up, man.
Yeah. Yep.
So it says, Ephesians 4 and 14, then we will no longer be immature like children. We won't be tossed and blown about by every wind of new teaching. We will not be influenced when people try to trick us with lies so clever they sound like the truth.
Right. Hey, under the influence. You know what the scriptures talk about? Being drunk. You know, drunk upon, you know, certain philosophies. All right, not getting drunk, to be sober, that we're vigilant, you know, watchful, you see. But a lot of these people can be influenced easier. And what do you have? You have, you know, something on the internet called influencers, you know, trying to constantly pour new drink down your throat, you know, pour new drink down your, you know, give you something new. Every day somebody got to come out with some some new way, some quick way, you know, to get rich, some new philosophy. These people are backed by you know, certain corporations paying them big bucks to try to just come up with new things, false news, falsified information, you know, secretly tapping into certain groups to trip them up, you know. So we gotta be affirmed in these things. Mark the 4th chapter. You know, where are you rooted? Where are you planted at? How are you watering? How are you watering yourself so that you can grow? Where's your light coming from? You know, what kind of seeds are you developing, man? That goes back to how you're being cultivated. If you actually being cultivated in the spirit of YAHAWASHI, you're gonna be growing up a certain way, you know, and you're gonna be producing fruit in a certain way. So when YAHAWASHI comes to visit, hey, he gonna see whether you got fruit or not, man. You know, just like he did that fig tree.
Yeah.
You see, hey, but now is the time to get right. You know, you had that account where the Lord seen the tree and the servant was like, hey, Lord, let me get a little more time to like make sure like give it another chance. Well, we have this chance. We have a grace period that the Lord has given us to get right, where we can produce fruit, that we can be rooted to be able to go through certain things. But a lot of Jake is playing with it. So what we gonna do with it though? That's the reaction.
It's going back to 2 Peter 3 and the 3rd chapter. I'm gonna read through 3 and hit 4.
Yes.
Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust. Here's the point. And saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation.
Yeah. We've been in the end times. We've been in the last days. You know, my great grandpa was been saying that. You know, he was saying, "Oh, I been knew we was the black Jews." You know, yeah. You hear you tell somebody that we're the Israelites for real. They're like, "Oh, I been knowing that we the black Jews." Like, nigga, did you hear what I just said? You know, they're like, but hey, our people, they're foolish, man. See, but they constantly harking on that. Oh, I been knew that. That ain't no new shit. You ain't putting me on. You know.
Hey.
Sorry, can you read that? Or,
Yeah, once you tell Jake he is like, you can't tell him nothing else after that, bro. He knows everything.
Right.
After I'm an Israelite. Oh, okay, big. You know, he knows everything. You can't tell a nigga shit, bro.
Right. I done read the Bible 10 times when I was locked up in juvie.
Yeah.
You know. You know, niggas swear they know something.
Yes.
You know.
Ready 10 times and came out doing the same shit, nigga.
Yeah.
You have not changed. You are not convinced. You know. But hey, it's all good, man. So we're not out here to convince anybody, man. Okay, we are here to bring out this word for 1/3 of the nation of Israel, to condemn 2/3 in the heathen, man. All right, and ultimately to push YAHAWASHI's word because we was commanded to do so. Okay, you want to reread it again, right? Kind of, I got you.
Because our people are they're preset on going backwards, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're preset on going in circles. You know, just like when we was in the wilderness, they're set on just going in circles, keep doing what they've been doing. You know, by the programming of this damn devil. You see, you got it.
2 Peter 3 and 4 again, saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. Verse 5, for this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of the Most High, the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water, in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished.
That's good.
Verse 5.
Yeah.
Verse 5. But this they willingly are ignorant of.
They're willingly ignorant. Right now, you have a choice to whether to get yourself ready and prepare and actually understand and study. You have a will, like what are we in right now? The age of information. You could easily type up on your phone, you know, these scriptures, look them up, follow along, go into the Greek, go into the Hebrew, go into the origin, the etymology, go into the context, go into the, all these things. Look on the map, see exactly the cities where I have to pull up the Google Maps, see what it looked like today. Going to the ancient relics. You got a time machine right in front of your hand where you could go and seek these things out yourself. But most of our people willingly don't want to go into it. They willingly want to stay ignorant. They choose to be to be handcuffed and in shackles to false teachers, man. You gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially like with Chat GPT now, bro.
Right.
It's like, damn. It's like you ain't even gotta. I mean, still do it. You gotta study. You gotta dig into things. And of course, even with Chat GPT, we use it often. But even with that, bro, it's still ran by Esau, and so it still pushes out his narrative. But what it does, it just helps basically just gather a whole bunch of information and data from all these different websites and articles and videos and stuff, and it just puts it all together one right there for you, to where it kind of eliminates a lot of click it here, yeah, all that, navigate through different articles and stuff. But nonetheless, it just proving a point. You just spoke about how we're in the age of information. So if you don't know something now, and you got, first and foremost, the prophets out here on the highways and byways, like literally, the Lord has his men strategically and conveniently located, in every major city, and then you got the internet. So it's like, if you don't know something, bro, it's like, yeah, you're willingly making yourself ignorant. Can I get this quick one?
Yeah.
Proverbs 24:12 NLT. Don't excuse yourself by saying, look, we didn't know.
Excusing yourself, because a lot of these people, they're fulfilled in, like just looking for themselves for an out, They want to help themselves out by saying, I see it's different. Lord, I was about to, before you gave me the truth, I was about to go to the league. I was about to have this rap deal. I talked to Diddy himself, and then they think that they can excuse themselves out of the judgment. I had something going on, Lord, when you gave me this call, so how, you come on, what you expect me to do?
Hey, Yahawashi gives a parable of that in Luke 14. How he had prepared this wedding feast, and he called those guests that were bidden into the wedding feast, but they all made an excuse. One said, "Oh, I just married a wife.
Yeah.
I can't go." Another said, "I just bought this plot of land. I gotta go till it up first."
Right.
And another one had bought some oxen. Like, I haven't proved the oxen yet. And so they made all these excuses. That's what Jake is known for. I had a coach in high school. He says, excuses are like an ass. We all got one.
Everybody got one.
Everybody got one. My coach said this shit too.
Yeah.
But that's true.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the elect, they not making no excuse. They heard the call. Hey, the Lord put his spirit of fear inside of them. Like, oh, I got to do something with this, man.
Yep.
So it says
to excuse yourself from a meal that somebody's prepared for you is, right now people don't have no fucking manners, so they'll do that.
Yeah.
But it was highly disrespectful in the ancient world. That's like breaking a promise. Somebody's labored for you, like that's, imagine you going on a journey and them accepting you into your home, into their home, and you haven't eaten, and you haven't had a bed to stay in, and then they say, oh, we're gonna slaughter this lamb for you that we've been keeping it. We seen it come out of its mother, and then we raised it up, and all of a sudden you came this day, and we slaughtered it for you. The food, the seeds that we toiled, we went in the field, we worked for it daily. That cauliflower, this and that. We gonna cook it up for you all day, kind of. The niggas talk about Thanksgiving, but in the ancient world, hey, it was an all day kind of meal for you to prepare a feast for somebody, for you to just say, let me excuse myself, I'm tired, let me go to sleep.
Mhm.
Those is fighting words, man.
Yeah.
And that's what the elect is doing. We prepared the Lord, I'll say, the Lord has prepared a feast, prepared a table for you in the face of your enemies, and offer you to eat and drink. Yet our people have waved the finger. They rather have GMO, they rather have lies, they rather have food that's not convenient for them.
Yeah.
But there's a recompense for that.
That's it. Proverbs 24:12 NLT again. Don't excuse yourself by saying, look, we didn't know. For the Lord, YAHAWASHI, understands all hearts, and he sees you. He who guards your soul knows you knew. He will repay all people as their actions deserve.
He knows you knew, right? Like, how do you not realize that somebody cooking the meal in the house. You don't smell the food. You don't see them going in and out, turning the, opening the windows up. The house, a little smoky here and there. Hearing the instruments go off, hearing the clattering. You know somebody working. You know, you couldn't tell. You didn't see the signs. You couldn't read the room. Right, something's going on here. What's going on? Let me try to, where can I help? So the Lord knows people knew, man. But here it is. A judgment is going to take place of that. Something is going to happen because of that, and we're witnessing it. Why is EBT? Why is shut down the EBT going on? Why is Trump continuing to go at these heads of other countries forward in war? Why are we still, why are things happening upon the planet Earth? Why is AI ramping up? Why are you seeing a police state happening in Chicago? Why are you seeing a police state happening in New York? Why are all these things going on? Well, it's the judgment of the Lord. A lot of these comforts that people walking around with, they're not going to be here in the next coming months. But see, keep going about your fantasy. Keep telling yourself it's going to get better. Keep singing them hum songs, hum songs, the million man marches. Keep believing them lies that our people told that it's going to be peace. Keep believing that. And you're going to find out. You're going to find out to come that it ain't coming. No, the Lord is having a spirit come upon the planet Earth for the judgment of the people. And the Lord got people in a particular place right now for them to make a decision on what they're going to do. You got it.
Go ahead.
Oh, was it more on that?
Oh, it was another way. You just went straight into what you was talking about.
You got it.
Second Maccabees 2:26. God. Therefore, to us that have taken upon us this painful labor of abridging, and abridging is basically where you summarize it. It says it will, and that's basically what we do through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. We summarize the volume of the book, and every lesson, every video epistle we do. Once again, it's not us; it's through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. We're painting a picture. Every time a brother uploads a video or comes out here to preach, we're painting a picture with the scriptures, man, so you can see YAHAWASHI, so you can ultimately see, okay, what the Lord is doing. So it says, therefore, to us that have taken upon us this painful labor. It's a painful labor. Brothers work just like you. Sun up to sundown. Still, it's a painful labor, man, to toil in these scriptures. Study. You still gotta watch it, listen to the apostles, listen to the brothers' videos. You still gotta pray. You still gotta fast. You still gotta go out to the highways and byways. Whether you sick, you under the weather a little bit, whatever, man. It's a painful labor. But it says, therefore, to us that have taken upon us this painful labor of abridging, it was not easy, but a matter of sweat and watching, even as it is no ease unto him that prepareth a banquet and seeketh the benefit of others. Yet for the pleasuring of many, we will undertake gladly this great pains. As ultimately the elect, we endure all things for the elect's sake. Starting first and foremost with YAHAWASHI, and then every man his own order. Elder High Priest Abba Bibbins, the men on down, our apostles, man. Look at all the work the apostles put in, bro. 35, 40 plus years. You had decades where nobody was coming out to watch, listen, nothing, bro. But they still did it through the spirit of YAHAWASHI. They undertook that gladly, man. And through their endurance, through the spirit, look what is reached. You got brothers and sisters all over the world believing this doctrine, man.
I say too. That's why in the Obadiah, they call us, hey, Lord willing, we're part of that number, they call us saviors, man. To be a joint heir with YAHAWASHI it's more than just words on a page, man. All right, being joint heirs with YAHAWASHI, yeah, we suffer with them, but hey, when YAHAWASHI come back, we're gonna be glorified with them, man. Listen, man, in the kingdom of heaven, when that 1/3, especially that 144,000 men that the scriptures speak of, in the kingdom, bro, our people is gonna worship us, man. Our people is gonna look at us as as saviors, man. All right, of course, you're gonna have the ultimate savior, which is YAHAWASHI, Yahweh, through his son YAHAWASHI, man. But hey, that 144,000 men that laid down their lives, all right, for Israel as well, and they're gonna be looked up towards too as well. They're gonna be reverenced too, man. Our work here
ain't gonna be overlooked forever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2/3 of our people can talk shit to us. All right, go on a comment board, come out here, try to fight us, do whatever. You know, but that ain't forever, man. Once the Lord kill these niggas, all right, and bring them back in the kingdom, okay, they gonna understand, like, damn, it's gonna be in their mind, like, damn, I fucked up in my past life. They gonna be hurt, you know. But when they see the elect, they ain't gonna be like, damn, these are the creme de la creme. These are the ones that the Heavenly Father and the Son love the most, man. All right, you know, when we come into a fucking room, we gonna light it up, you know.
Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Now, we often bring this out, you know, about the small hatters, but specifically and contextually speaking, this is really talking about Jake.
Yeah.
You know, what is that? They are not all Israel, which are of Israel. Romans the 9th chapter. You know, so that's what that's going into. Jake, that's, you know, they know that they're Israelites. They, you know, they act as if they're worshipers of YAHAWASHI, but really they're not. It says, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. So they're going to acknowledge the leadership.
Yep.
They're going to know, like, damn, man, you're the fathers of our nation. You know, all these scoffers, like, bro, a lot of them, bro. Hey, the men that they scoffing, bro, you scoffing at your daddy. You scoffing at your fathers, bro. In the kingdom, like, dang, Salakia Abba, like, you know, gonna be a lot of Salakias.
Yeah, a lot of Salakias. Yeah, nah, for real.
Yeah.
But see, that's a part of that ignorance, though.
Yeah.
See, Jake don't understand, you know, the reward for the labor. Like a lot of individuals don't understand, like, that this thing is nothing to be played with. Yeah, they might talk about certain judgments. They might talk about certain things that they'll receive. You know, it's always when you talk to Jake about what they want, it's always just, you know, multiple women. I just want to add two. I want to have 2 wives, and I don't want to be on child support no more. You know, that's all Jake can think about. You know, really the reward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't think about, you know, having access to certain planets, certain solar systems. You know, having a, you know, rule over certain species of animals, new creatures. You know, having the control over, you know, ports and you know, airways, servants. You know, land, having control of architecture. You know, colors, the color spectrum, you know, all that matter, controlling shape, you know, being able to control anything your heart's desire, man, anything the Lord give us. That's the, you know, that's the limit upon what people think this reward is about. But see, what was clear in the understanding of the parable that our Lord gave us, that being, you know, that the workers for the penny, those that are assured and while they're working will know the penny that they will receive. You know, they will know the reward that they will receive. That's a you know, the common thing. Even the reward of seeing our enemies fall.
Yeah.
You know, that's a reward in itself.
Absolutely.
You know? So, but see, Jake don't consider these things. That's why the Lord said, if we read in the 2 Peter 3rd chapter, how they're ignorant to that fact. You know? They're ignorant to that fact. That's a part of being ignorant, you know?
I want to get this word because I mentioned and I said that, you know, in the kingdom, if we are part of that number, we'll be worshipped by, you know, the rest of the nation of Israel, man. But, you know, when we say certain things, we want to back it up because we don't want someone that's new or a scoffer to get mixed up when we say certain things. So this is strong H 7812. This is the word worship. The Hebrew word is shaka. It's it means to prostrate oneself in homage to royalty, or to crouch down, to humbly beseech, to reverence, all right, to bow down, prostrate oneself before superior in homage. Okay, so that 1/3, which is and then what's the top of that one? That 144,000 is the top of that 1/3, man. So we're going to be those superiors of the nation of Israel. Yeah. 2/3 of our people, they're going to pay homage to us, man. They're going to reverence the work that we put in on this side, man. You know, as the scripture say in what's that? Is that Hebrews 6 about our treasures being stored in heaven? Or is that Matthew 6? Matthew 6. You know, Matthew 6 says that about our treasures being stored up in heaven. This is a part of that, man. Okay,
where moth and robber can't come and corrupt or steal from it, man. So that's gonna be amplified in the kingdom of heaven. It's gonna be showed in the kingdom, man. You know, so that's what we were waiting on.
Yeah. And it's under the umbrella of YAHAWASHI YAHAWASHI in his reference. You know, that's but see with that comes association, man. You know, that's another form of praise. Like you name drop certain individuals, like who you know,
Yeah.
or somebody come to you in the party, you're like who you know here. That's almost like damn, like what I look out of place,
Yeah.
you know. But see, we gonna all know YAHAWASHI. We ain't gonna have the ability to say who you know here. We all gonna be joint in that. But see, the 2/3 they ain't gonna have the ability to say that.
Yeah, everybody ain't gonna have. Oh, that's one of your house shots, man.
Yeah,
That's not gonna be given. That's not gonna be given to everyone.
I got precepts just to line up with that.
Mm-hmm.
Revelation 3:9. This is Isaiah 60. I'm gonna read verses 14 and 15 in the NLT. It says, "The descendants of your tormentors will come and bow before you. Those who were despised you will kiss your feet. They will call you the city of the Lord, Yahweh, and Zion of the Holy One of Israel."
Yep, and that's really talking about the heathen. Of course, because they're gonna come and worship and kiss our feet. But that extends. It's not gonna be so much so where the nation of Israel kisses our feet.
Right.
But they will be. The scriptures do say that they'll wake up to shame and everlasting contempt. Which it won't be forever, but they'll have a certain level of shame when it comes to coming amongst the elect. Especially those that dealt with us, specifically. But the whole earth will be shame.
Yeah. If I can add, it's going to, as it relates to the nation of Israel, what's going to be like that movie Coming to America.
Yeah.
Y'all remember when Hakeem he was at the basketball game and he took that break. He had to go to the restroom, and the other citizen of Zamuna was in the restroom, and he saw him. He saw Hakeem. He said, "I cannot believe it."
Yeah.
He got his. It is true. It is true. That's how it's going to be as it relates to the governing body of the nation of Israel and the rest of Jake, man. And I cannot believe it. You pop up, you know what I mean? Like that's how it's going to be. So that's what worship is going into. Basically, paying obeisance unto, bowing down, like showing a high level of great respect, which that's really according to the law. I had that right here, Exodus 22 and 28 in the NLT. You must not dishonor the Most High or curse any of your rulers. Well, really, that what, see, NLT, see, this is one of those verses NLT goes off on. It says you must not dishonor, it says, God with the capital G, but according to the law, it's, lowercase g, which we know is no lowercase in the Hebrew, but it's God, it's an Alahaya, which goes into princes, judges, divine ones, going into your priests, your kings, your noblemen, basically the upper echelons of your people, the gods, right? And I'm going to read in the KJV. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people. So the governing body of our people, you're supposed to treat them with a high level of respect. That's why King David moved the way he did with amongst, King Saul. Even though King Saul had demons on him, King David kept the law. Yes. He never dishonored, or broke his integrity as it relates to, Saul, because he understood, hey, the Most High ordained this man to be above me, and the Lord loves a man that can honor, that chain of command, bro. So, but that's how it's going to be in the kingdom of heaven. I cannot believe it.
Yep.
It is true.
Because we got the victory, man. Partakers in that blessing that YAHAWASHI got. Can you go back to that Sirach 10?
Yeah.
You did. Hold that to
Right. It's if you want to start particularly anywhere, because I know we left off on 14, 15.
Yeah, let's go to verse 16.
Okay. This is Sirach chapter 10 and verse 16. The Lord overthrew countries of the heathen and destroyed them to the foundation of the earth. Verse 17, he took some of them away and destroyed them, and have made them memorials to cease from the earth. Pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that are born of a woman.
Yep. So that pride will be taken out the earth too. Because a lot of people, they will use that. They'll use that, but I never you know, give you due credit,
Okay.
give you this or that, give you I'm your this or that. I'm your big brother. I'm your, I'm older. I'm your elder, or just simply being older than you. You see? But hey, that credit will be due. And exactly the people from the nation of Israel too. That honor is going to be due. After they give their honor to due men, read Sirach the 44th chapter. Let us now give honor to famous men. Roughly paraphrasing. See, so there is a certain level of respect and esteem that the elect will have, and famous men will have, man. Can we get that book of Solomon? 14, yeah, and 20. Yep, no, 20. Yeah, I think so. 23, right? Verse 8. Sacrifices, ceremonies, made. Yeah, 22. Okay.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance.
Right, and when it says, and whereof this was not enough for them, it goes into to idol worship. Because we were talking about, for the most part, how Jake doesn't understand. Jake doesn't understand what a part of this reward is for. They don't understand the judgment of the Lord, which judgment goes two ways, right? You got judgment that comes in the form of a reward, that being, something that's added to you, and you have judgment that comes in the form of something being taken away, whether it be, the highest form of that being your life, or maybe it might be, your children, food, right? Or it might be in the certain riches that be taken away from you. You see, but our people are ignorant to this fact. The people of the earth are ignorant to this fact, and they do that by taking heed unto these idols. But see, they don't understand judgment. That's why we read in 2 Peter the 3rd chapter how they love they love ignorance, man. Oh, we always been in the last days. We always been this or that. Or I knew quote unquote Jesus was black. I knew that already. But they're still ignorant to the fact of the small things that he planned to do. They're ignorant to the fact of why we even out here. See, why are we giving them warning? Oh, I knew y'all. I hear y'all giving the fear of the Lord, but what that's going to do for me? Well, they're still ignorant to that fact.
Verse 23. For while they slew their children and sacrificed.
Sorry, we gotta
Okay, 22.
Yep.
Verse 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace.
Yeah, those great plagues, they called it peace. And we see that happening now. Oh man, you know what? We still waiting for it to go back to normal. This new normal. We still waiting for America, quote unquote, America to be made, quote unquote, great again. We still waiting. I know, hey, Trump said that it's gonna be a rough road, but when these tariffs, when they start to really take place, after a while, the economy gonna bounce right back. Well, they don't know that this is a plague from the on high, man. They don't know that these certain things, ice coming up in your house, ice breaking your windows down, they calling, oh, when we get these illegals out, it's gonna be peace. They don't know that this is a plague, man. They thinking that the effect of all these things happening in the earth is gonna manifest itself in being peace. Well, that's being ignorant to the fact of what the Lord is doing, because you steady serving idols. You steady worried about this, you worried about that, and not understanding the will of the Lord, man.
Got it. Normalcy bias.
Right. Yep.
Verse 23. For while as they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites.
And all those things are back here today, still happening, man.
Yep.
These little human deletion centers and all of Jake's neighborhoods, man. Slaying your children, man, in sacrifices. Or taking your baby to go get a christened, at fucking church. And you offering your newborn up to another god, man.
Yeah.
So these things are still happening. That's why the wrath of YAHAWASHI came upon those Canaanites. And the biggest Canaanites upon the earth today in the spirit is Jake.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's it might be Ezekiel 16.
Yeah.
The scriptures say Israel has done more than their previous you know, in Sodom and Gomorrah. They've done more than their forefathers. They are of their mother, some pretty much, the Canaanites, man. They're following after those ways, still serving those gods, man. Even the idea of calling yourself black, you know, that right there is, you sacrificing parts of your culture to assimilate to this society, man.
Yeah, because that, hey, the Lord really hates those Canaanites too. Yeah, of course we know he hates Esau. That's like the most hated nation. But in the kingdom of heaven, after Esau is eliminated, the nation that's next up to be the base of the base is Canaan. It speaks about that in the book of Zechariah, the 14th chapter. There should be no Canaanite in the house of Yahawashi. The Lord hates those nasty motherfuckers, man. Like, look at them today, bathing in cow piss and all that weird shit. Eating cow doo-doo,
Man,
you know?
and tripping. It's wild, though.
Always ashy, too.
Cannibals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cannibals. A big ass plate and they live. Why you got a plate for your mouth? It makes sense, man.
Verse 23, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, but either one slew another treacherously or grieved him by adultery.
Yep. And that's the state that the people are in right now, man. They just doing whatever. But they're serving these other guys, going about these certain rights and these ways, and little do they know they're submitting themselves into Satan, man. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. You can read Jeremiah 22, because I know we didn't get to that, but okay. For the brother breakdown. Jeremiah 22, what we started? Degenerate plant. I think it might be 33.
Oh,
Or no, Jeremiah 2. I'm sorry.
oh no,
I said 22.
you keep reading. I got you. Play it.
Second. But where's he get to? I don't know. You want to look at that? Should be good. Yeah, oh, you looking for it? Let's just get that. Yeah, I had it for you. It's loading something. Oh, okay. Actually, I mean, I call it this, but it's a different one. Jeremiah 2:33. Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked one thy ways.
Yep. You done?
No, you.
Done. I mean, that's the state. That's the state of our people. That's where our people are at, man. All right, our people want to be loved by everybody else. You know what I mean? And that's why they're gonna turn on us. Jake is gonna persecute us because they're basically Edomites in the spirit. Our people are Edomites in the spirit, and whatever other abominable fucking heathen nation, man. Like the Canaanites, like the brother mentioned, man. All right, our people aren't actually concerned with righteousness. They're not concerned with faith. All right, being loyal, kissing the son. All our people are concerned with is carnality, right? And really being the goddamn victim, man. Our people love victimhood, And anybody that tries to challenge our people, anybody who tries to shake Jake out of that victimhood, you're an enemy. That was this is 2 Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that is that very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Yep. And we'll read that again, man. Because that scripture is important, man. All right, measuring the times, situational awareness, understand what's going on in the world. All right, that's a key trait. All right, of a man of the Lord, knowing what the hell is going on. Okay, and like you look at a clock, it's always changing. All right, or you play sports, you're looking at the shot clock, the play clock. It's always changing. Every time you look up, there's less time on the clock, which means what? There's a sense of urgency in this thing. You shouldn't come into this thing and think that you just got forever, because we don't. Because we don't. You know, we have very little time, man, and the Lord is speeding up the time. You know, as the scriptures say, you know, the Lord would speed up the days, man. All right, and that makes me actually. We'll read that again. Can you also grab? I want to say Sirach 5. Start from the top. You got it all. Got Second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. Starting at verse 1, it says, "He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is that the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." Yep. So not only are you supposed to be measuring the times, but can you read that where it said a part? Right? Read that part real quick. God, it says, when thou seest part of the signs past. Right, part of the signs past, man. All right, so yeah, we got an overall understanding, but you're supposed to understand, you know, how much is past, you know? And you only will be able to do that if you correctly breaking down the scriptures, correctly identifying prophecies, you know? Like we read Revelation 13 and 16, that's a future prophecy that's getting ready to be fulfilled. That has not been fulfilled yet. All right, but you read other prophecies and they have been fulfilled. You know, like when you measuring something, you get a ruler, right? You measure a stick, right? That stick is going to take up a certain part of the ruler, man. And then what? You have the remainder. You know, so that's what the scriptures are. The scripture is a measuring stick. It's a tool. You know, and this thing is like they say about boxing. It's a sweet science. These scriptures are a sweet science, man. How about that?
Hey, if I can say, because they got in the trade world where they say they got a saying where it's measured twice, some once. You know, so like you got a limited amount of material, and if you make the wrong measurement and you need to cut it, or you need more material at the end of the job, well, it does what? It costs you more money, or it might come out of your check. You know? And you got a certain range that you want to be in to be profitable. So like you building a house, so you got to measure twice and cut once because it's only a certain amount of things that you have. In time, deadlines too. You know, because you mess up, if you got to run to go get more material, whatever, it costs you time. So you can't get back.
Yep, that's the parable of the virgins right there.
Yeah.
You know, that trimmed their lamps, that were ready to go, that measured the times, that knew that they were going to need oil for a certain amount of time, a certain journey.
Right.
You know, so that's the spirit that we looking to come in, man.
Can I get a quick one? 2 Timothy 2 and 15. Study to show thyself approved unto YAHAWASHI, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, but rightly dividing, cutting the word of truth. When you get that word or the phrase rightly dividing, Strong's G 3718, orthotomio, it says to cut straight,
Yep.
to proceed on straight paths, to hold a straight course, equivalent to doing right, to make straight and smooth, to handle aright, to teach the truth directly and correctly.
Yep. That's it, man. Like we read, like the scripture. That's what the scriptures are, a measuring stick. You know, when you measure something, it has to be level, right? It has to be, you know, can't be slanted. You know, are you mounting a TV? You know, you got to make sure it's even, man. It's got to be straight. The same thing with this truth, man.
Okay. Second Ezra chapter 9, and we're in verse 3. It says, therefore when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake and those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning.
Yep, and we've seen earthquakes. We've seen earthquakes. We've seen riots on this side of the world, the other side of the world. All right. Uproars of the people. All right. And that's all signs of the end.
All right, and everybody's in uproar because everybody's miserable. Everybody's oppressed. You know, Proverbs 29:2. You know, we can get that. You got it. Okay, Con. We can start. We read verse 1. Yes.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself.
Yeah.
And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made.
Right. It said, then shalt thou understand. And that's a key right there. Can we grab Proverbs 3 and 5 to go with that? All right, because that shows you right there the understanding that we're concerned about is the understanding of prophecy. All right, because the understanding of prophecy is the understanding of YAHAWASHI. Revelation 19, man. The testimony of our Lord is the spirit of prophecy. We're not concerned about understanding all this carnal shit, all this worldly shit. You know, how to do this and how to do that. You know, it's good to be knowledgeable. You know, but it's important to understand the times. You got it right.
This is Proverbs 3 and 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thine own understanding.
Maybe that wasn't the one I was looking for, but that's good. You read verse 5 again?
This is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. It says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding.
Right. Lean not to thine own understanding. We ain't leaning on our own understanding. We leaning on the understanding of these scriptures, right, which was passed down from the elders and apostles on down, and the Holy Spirit. All right, that's the understanding that's going to get us through. You know, Isaiah 33 and 6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. All right, what you got about it?
Okay. Verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee.
Yep, then shalt thou well understand. All right, so it's building off that. The understanding is going to increase. All right, that's what is it? Proverbs 4 and 23. I want to say. Let's see what that says real quick. We'll hold right there. 4 and 20. Nah, not that one. Verse 18, Bob Kisha.
This is Proverbs 4, verse 18. But the path of the just is as the shining light.
Right, the path of the just is as a shining light. You know, and the path that we're on is the path that YAHAWASHI paved out. That's what we're living. You know, we're not living our own path. We're living YAHAWASHI's path. You know, because free will don't exist. Man. You know, the scriptures say man's goings are of the Lord. Could you read that again, Bob?
This is Proverbs chapter 4, verse 18. But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day.
It shineth more and more unto the perfect day. You know, and that's what's happening through the Spirit. All right, as more prophecies take place, as more things take place in our daily life, all right, in the news, things make more sense. You know, like I always give the analogy of a puzzle. You putting the puzzle together, the puzzle makes more sense at the end than it did at the beginning. All you got at the beginning is the image. You know, and that's what we got. YAHAWASHI, man. YAHAWASHI is the image. And we putting the pieces together as time goes on. You know.
Verse 5. For like as all that is made in the world.
Can you read verse 4 again, Bob? So like I know I'm slow.
Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee.
Yep.
Even from the beginning.
Yep. Read that verse one more time, Bible Shot. Could you grab Psalm 33 and 6? Right? Because the Lord spoke all of this into play. You know?
that shows you the magnitude of the power that we serve. All the power that we serve, all he had to do was speak all this into existence, man. And now here we are living it out. You know. Did you have that Psalm 33:6? What is the word? Okay, yeah, about so.
This is Psalms 33, verse 6. By the word of the Lord Yahawah, were the heavens made.
By the word of the Lord.
Okay.
All right, and who's the word? All right, YAHAWASHI, man. All right, and when you go into that word in John 1:1, it goes into logos. You know, and when you go into that word logos, there's a lot of things that come up because when you go into the history on that word had a lot of weight in Greek society. You know, like how certain words, like in society today, have a certain amount of weight. You know, that word logos, when you go into it, you know, it was a very heavy word, and he used that word specifically for a reason, to emphasize the importance of Yahawashi. All right, could you read that again, folks?
This is Psalms 33, verse 6. By the word of the Lord were the heavens made.
Yep.
And all the host of them by the breath of his mouth.
Right. So the host of heavens, all right, everything that we know that we can see and we can't see was created by the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, which is, you know, the Heavenly Father through Yahushua. All right. And then ultimately the Allahayim pursuant to Genesis 1:1. You know. But that was it on that.
We go back to verse 4. Verse 4, 2nd Ezra chapter 9. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning.
Yeah.
For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest.
Yep. Can you read about verse 6 again? Because it says plain beginnings. Yeah, plain. Okay, that was verse 5. Okay, kind. Yeah, you got it. Isaiah 55.
For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest.
Right. The end is manifest, meaning the end is clear. All right. And if it isn't clear to you, that this is the end, we don't know what to tell you, man. All right, just look at all this shit, man. Fruit don't got no seeds in them. Right? You got Gen Z, you got the end of the alphabet. Ain't no letter after Z, man. Got all this goddamn concrete, man.
Yeah, Jake thinks it's gonna be Z1, Z2.
Here's the thing about concrete. How the fuck do you clean it? They laid all this goddamn concrete, man, and been cleaned fucking once, man. But that's because Babylon was never created to last very long. Babylon was created to be the end of the world and to be the end of Esau's reign, man.
Hey, scripture say in Job 14, who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean thing?
Yep.
It said, no, not one.
Not one, man. This place was created to be what it is, which is a shithole, man.
Man.
You got it, man.
2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 9. 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking forward to. You know?
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
But like if I could say too, like Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter say, because y'all was talking about how they built these systems and these things like for temporary purposes. It's a scripture that's in Wisdom of Solomon 2. It says they took the flowers, the dandelions, to use it before they be withered. You know, let us use these things before they be withered. You know, showing you that they wanted to. they're building things. Just they know it's only temporary. Or you got buildings that was here but they put up because they thought that it was going to be temporary for something greater, and then they just went on with things. It's going as they go. You know. And that's how this whole system is. That's why it's going. That's why it's collapsing before our eyes. You know?
Man, if I can add, like, you go up to up north, like Philadelphia. I've been up there a few times, bro. Like back in the day, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, Philadelphia was like one of those booming cities. Like all those big old, skyscrapers and big, illustrious buildings. They were, slam packed full of business. commerce going on in and out. But now it's like, bro, Philadelphia is damn near like a ghost town. All those buildings is empty.
Yeah.
A lot of squatters living in there. A lot of fires. Detroit as well.
Oh yeah.
Detroit Fire Department. Most of their fires is not fires, involving like families that's living in it, but mostly just vacant, big ass buildings that's just empty, man.
Yep.
Just going to the point y'all making through the spirit, bro. Like this place, like it was created ultimately not to be refurbished and be rejuvenated, but ultimately just be built, just to be destroyed, man.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, it's YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI is taking the murder. He's taking the murder. So that's a big part of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we got to remember too, Esau is he's a warlock. He's a witch. Like Babylon the Great is a big ass experiment. You know what I mean? It's a big ass lab rat.
Yeah.
Like when they test on animals and they just they don't give a fuck about the animal.
Yeah.
They want to get the knowledge that they want, the intel that they want, and they discard that shit.
Mm.
And that's what they're doing here in America. That's why they called you a worthless eater.
Man.
Put that shit on your license plate, man. You know?
Gosh.
That and look at the money too.
Yeah.
You know? The money is dead. Money ain't even an asset. It's dead. You know? And they don't have any intention on paying that debt back. Look at the what is it, 38 trillion? It's a new number every time, a brother can bring it out.
That's a nigga, bro. Esau talking about, Jake.
Yeah.
Later on your credit card bill, okay, $500, $1,000, but they paint you out to be a worst criminal, like, horrible credit. Bro, Esau, he's the biggest nigga, like you just said, bro. Trillions of dollars in debt with no intention of paying that bitch back.
Yeah.
Esau's a nigga, bro.
Yeah, like Mike Epps got that one skit where he talking about how Jake borrow money and don't never give it back. But that's Esau though.
Yeah.
Esau borrow money and don't never give it back. And then he wanted to devalue the money that you got. But that's also a sign that this is Rome too, because Rome was doing that back in the ancient world.
God.
They devalued that silver coin that they had. First by 10%, and then they just kept going until the wheels fall off. And that's what we see happening here too.
Yeah, if I could make a point, since you mentioned that, man, they were doing the same thing that Esau doing with the coin today. Right now they're mixing it with different metals. And what Rome would do was similar to that too, man.
Yep.
They would shave off a certain amount from their what was it called? Denarius?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they would decrease its value every time along the time of it rulership, man.
Yep.
That's what Esau is doing today, man. He's mixing nickel and the penny, nickels and pennies and dimes and quarters and all that with different metals, and it's happening the same thing. The same thing as Rome, man. And the devaluation of the currency.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Where were we at? What do we have now?
We said,
Got something? Okay, yeah, let's get that real quick.
This is 1 Peter 1, verse 24. For all flesh is as grass.
Yep, all flesh is as grass. All right, now when it says flesh, all right, that's pertaining to people. All right, but that really goes for anything carnal, anything physical, because all this shit is going to be destroyed. Everything that we see right now is getting ready to be a heap of ruin and dust.
And all the glory of man as the flower of grass.
Right, and all the glory of man that's attached to it. All right? All the pride and the ego that's tied to all this physical wealth, all this material, all these material possessions. All right, all that's getting ready to be deleted too. Talks about that in Isaiah 2. Starting at like verse 12. We hold that on deck. Right, where it talks about pride being made low. All right, most people's pride is tied to the things that they got in the flesh. All right. Or even better yet, now in 2025, how many goddamn views you get on TikTok? Now you the man. You got a bunch of fucking bots. Because half these shits ain't even real.
Yeah.
Half the views ain't even, I was watching a clip the other day, man. I should have said in the chat. I might have to do a video on it. And this guy was breaking down how sophisticated the bots are.
Like it's not like, you know how sometimes you see bots and it's obviously a bot. You know, like it'd be there's no profile picture, be a weird ass name, and they type some shit that like, you know, just sound like a robot wrote that shit.
Yeah.
But he was pointing out how he was starting to discover bot pages where the people look like the accounts look very real. Like they had very lengthy profiles, realistic bios, and then not only that, but the people that they included on their profile, you could click on them and they were also bots, but they look real too.
Wow. Wow.
So this internet shit, we're not gonna really know what was even real for real until it's all said and done.
Hey, brother rebuking a bot.
Wow.
It's called.
You know, but really those bots is demons. He saw that
Yeah,
up portals and shit, man. You over here, stress the hell out over a goddamn bot, man.
Yeah.
It's lucky, man.
Now that was a great point, bro.
You got it.
The grass withereth,
Mhm.
and the flower thereof falleth away.
Right, the grass withereth and the flower fadeth away. Can we hold that and grab Ecclesiastes 3 real quick? All right, because grass withers based off the seasons. Sometimes grass grows, and then sometimes grass dies, man. All right, but it's all based upon the seasons. All right, which is really, prophecy is a season. It's like seasons. We're in a certain season of prophecy right now. America being broken down and destroyed, these people being broken down and destroyed is a season.
Yeah.
You know? And when you have a season, you dress accordingly, man. And that's what we doing in the spirit. We putting on these scriptures, man. The spirit of truth. The armor. You know? We'll get that real quick.
Start verse 1.
We start verse 1. We're not going to get all of it, but just a little bit.
To everything, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and I'll start in verse 1. To everything there is a season, a time to every purpose under the heaven.
Yep.
A time to be born and a time to die.
Yep.
A time to plant.
Right, in America, all right, America was born. You know, like we went to school, we grew up about, 1776, right? The Declaration of Independence, Boston Tea Party, Christopher Columbus, right? America was born, right? It grew up, it separated from England, Great Britain, its parent, right? Mother Britain, because when you go into certain, I sent that in the chat on a couple of Sundays ago, like the scriptures where it talks about the mother that buried, I want to say, was it Jeremiah 50?
Yeah.
When you look at certain political cartoons from that time period, they called Britain, they called England Mother England. So that's prophecy right there, man. And that links England and Babylon the Great, America. But can we read that again?
Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1. To everything there is a season.
Everything.
And a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted.
Yeah, a time to pluck up that which is planted, man. And we're watching Babylon the Great get plucked up. Spring cleaning, man. The Lord is getting ready to clean up the planet Earth. He's getting ready to uproot, the thrones of the wicked, Esau, and the heathen that have joined hand to hand with him. All right? But that was pretty much the point on that. We'll finish this up.
This is 1 Peter 1, verse 25. But the word of the Lord endureth forever.
Yeah.
And this is the word which by the gospel is preached unto you.
Right, but the word of the Lord endureth forever. All right, so the word of the Lord, YAHAWASHI, really, he's immortal.
Yeah.
He can never be defeated. His will can never be manipulated. It can never be changed.
Yeah.
Altered.
Yeah.
What is that? Malachi 3 and 6. I change not. And then can we read that one more time? And then I know I asked for that Isaiah 55 before. We'll actually jump to the Isaiah 55 after that.
Hey, even an earthly king, once he decrees something, he can't go back and change it.
Yep.
Like when you read Daniel 6, with Nebuchadnezzar, he didn't want to throw, Daniel in the lion's den, but he was coerced and manipulated, by those, hating ass niggas that was jealous of Daniel, you know, as he has signed that decree that anybody that's praying to, any god outside of Nebuchadnezzar and his gods, well, he has to be thrown in a, lion's den. But Nebuchadnezzar, he didn't want to have to do that to Daniel, but he
Yeah.
couldn't go back on his decree, on his executive order.
Yeah.
So if an earthly king, a heathen king at that,
Yeah.
can't go back on his word, how much more the heavenly king, the King of Kings, man?
Yeah.
So as it relates to all these promises, hey, it's coming for the Israelites, man.
Mhm.
Can't no heathen know. It's this, hey, the Lord, he ain't about to change that, man.
Yeah.
Because you're emotional, you don't like that.
Yeah. Can a brother find the precept immutability of his counsel?
Hebrews 6.
Hebrews 6, about to be shot. But if y'all holding something, we'll read what y'all holding though as well. You know what I mean? That's an important point. That's what we banking on. That's where our faith lies on, man. The immutability of YAHAWASHI's counsel. All right? We know everything else is getting ready to be moved out of the way. But we just pray that a part of that will is that we win. We make it. That's what the elect are hoping for. That they're those predestined spirits that gonna win, man. Found it? Oh, okay, you got a precept? You got it.
This is Ezra is thinking about prophesying and thinking about us in the latter end. This is Second Ezra chapter 14, verse 22. If I have found grace before thee, send thine Holy Spirit into me, and I shall write all that has been done in the world since the beginning, which were written by the law, that the men find thy path, and they that which live in the latter days may live.
Yep. That the men find thy path.
Ooh.
Thy path, man. All right. And that's what this is right now. That's what all the brothers that's out here right now, this is that path, man. All right.
Can I get a quick one?
The way, walk ye in. This is the way, walk ye in it. Got it.
Psalms 25:4. Show me thy ways, O Lord. Teach me thy paths. Lead me in thy truth and teach me, for thou art the power of my salvation. On thee do I wait all the day.
Yep. That's it. And that's what Yahawashi was teaching. The path to immortality, man. The path to the back to the good graces of the Heavenly Father. Which is rooted in rulership and in immortality, man. All right, but it's not conventional. It's not what people think it's supposed to look like.
Yep.
Because basically it's about the things of ancient time. Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 16.
Yep.
Learn the old paths.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, the old paths, they're not familiar to these people, these 2/3 Israelites. When you call them out and on any doctrine, they're like, oh man, that's harsh. But no, that was the way the Lord set things up. And then when you get into this knowledge, you understand why the Lord set it up that way. Like the stonings and say for instance, the woman was being a harlot or whatever, she set on fire, I believe it's the priest. Dog,
Yep.
So you understand that would scare the Israelites from doing something like that.
Yep.
Man, if I can add, bro, that scripture you just quoted, Jeremiah 6:16, perfect. Because you have two nations, ultimately there's only two nations talking about immortality right now. It's Jacob and Esau.
Yeah.
The only way to immortality, first and foremost, is by YAHAWASHI. He is the life and the resurrection. Like you said, going back to those ancient paths, the ancient paths what leads to immortality. But see, Esau is trying to obtain immortality by his pseudoscience, modernism, transhumanism. You had Noah Yuval Harari. He said, we don't have to return. We don't have to wait on the return of who the world calls Christ. If you give us enough time and a few geeks in a white coat in a laboratory, we can create immortality ourselves.
Yep.
See, proving that these devils, that's what they're aiming for. But there's two main nations talking about that, But only one nation is going to receive it, and that's the nation of Israel. That's why the Lord gave us this wisdom. Wisdom of Solomon 8 and 13.
Yep.
It says to be allied to wisdom is to be allied to immortality. Is to be basically joined with immortality, man. So So we can't sleep on the wisdom that's been given unto us, man. It's more than just knowing precepts and breakdowns and, oh, look what I found out. It's, bro, this wisdom literally leads to immortality, bro.
Yep.
Esau wishes he can get this, man.
Yep. Can brother get the etymology of the word immortal real quick? All right, because if I'm not mistaken, M means not, and then mortal goes into the flesh. But I want to check. I want to be sure. I got you. Done.
It's the etymology of immortal. It says deathless or undying of God.
Deathless.
Mm.
All right, deathless, man. Put a price tag on that, man. You know, you niggas boasting in your goddamn fucking Tesla, man. That shit gonna shut down on your ass.
And catch on fire.
Right. Deathless. That's what we chasing, man. Existence without that, you don't gotta die ever. You know, you got it up.
And not just that, but you're gonna have life and life more abundantly. Because if you had, okay, if Esau was to have immortality, which we know that's not the case, but niggas gonna be miserable.
Exactly.
Like, bro, that's hell. You don't die and you're living in hell. So, but the thing is, we're gonna be upgraded. We're gonna have immortality, and we're gonna have pleasures forevermore.
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, each second is just like a orgasm, bro. It's an unending orgasm for real.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect bodies.
Yeah.
Like the brother said, immortality. We're not going to go off. You know, we go off. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be in perfect body. We're not going to sin no more. That's beautiful. Man.
Yep. Yep. And as a man, there's nothing better than being able to have an idea or have a purpose, a goal, a project, and be able to actually watch it come into its fulfillment, man. And to keep working on it and keep working on it and keep working on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And never lose it. You know, that's what the elect are going to get as joint heirs under YAHAWASHI. They're going to get to build up, starting with the planet Earth. They're going to build up the planet Earth. And then, you know, go from there.
The reason my man does that or creates anything is because it's an image of immortality. Like Noah with the ark, right? That the ark was a sign of immortality through his lineage. But we actually gonna live that out too, like preserving certain things, like or a way, like for instance, a man build a house. You know, it's a form of immortality because it's like it's a place for me to live on after I die. Like I have something that's associated with my name. You know? We actually gonna have those things and be able to achieve that through our life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What was more of those words?
Okay.
That word, like you mentioned in, all right, the word in the beginning of immortality, it says not opposed of or without. And in that word mere, right? The word mere from mortality, it says to rub away, to harm, to die. And then those are the two words where it comes from.
Okay.
Mere.
Okay. So without death. You know what I mean? Basically, to not die. All right. And like the brother said, that was only promised to the nation of Israel. You know, Romans 9. That's a part of that.
Yeah.
When Paul was listing off all those things, he was really, you know, at the forefront when he was writing that, he was talking about immortality. That's why 1 Corinthians 15 touches on it the way that it does. You know? With anything else?
It also says in reference to fame in literature, unceasing, destined to endure forever, never to be forgotten.
Never to be forgotten, man. Like the best music, they always say the best music is timeless. You know, the elect gonna be timeless. You know, they're gonna exist forever. You know, but let's get
Okay. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
Yep.
But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Yeah. At the end of the day, the righteous is going to be in authority, and the people rejoice.
Yeah.
We're here under Esau's rule, and we're mourning. We're in the house of mourning right now. You know. So
You can't do anything but mourn, man. Because Babylon, man. The ball, man. It means confusion.
Right.
Everything is confusing. Everything is opposite. Everything is backwards, man. You can't. There's no certainty in this place about anything. You know, it's the opposite of what we're talking about with immortality. Everything here is it's an instant. It's a drop. You know.
Yeah, your life sucks here, bro. Especially now.
Yeah.
Like, bro, everybody's losing their jobs, and if you have a job, the shit sucks. You're just a fucking slave. Like you working from sun up to sundown. Like you're everybody mourning, bro. Everybody's just through. Everybody's fed up. That's going to lead to that Job 18. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon them. When you go into that word wicked is imal, which means your common everyday laborers. You know, it's about to be a lot of shit, bro. But Esau did it. He wanted it. He wanted it like this, man.
Yep.
That's why he was toying with you people. You know, oh, we're gonna give you partial snap benefits. Oh, and then yesterday talking about we're gonna take it away. Well, that's not what he really meant. He was talking about if the government. He's just playing with your emotions, man.
Yep. They purposely made that very confusing.
Yes.
To build up anxiety and to build up stress.
It's Babylon. You said it. It's confusion. That's how they get an advantage of you, bro. 2 Corinthians 2:11.
Yep.
You know, it's by keeping you in a confused state to where you don't know what the fuck to believe, man.
Yep. And stress sells. You know, stress sells. Once they get you in that state, you're gonna do anything to get out of it. Which is why people tap into the vices, the drugs, sex. You know, that's the highest prescription sold in America. I think it's Viridium, if I'm not mistaken, but it's an anxiety drug. Anxiety is the doctors prescribe medication for anxiety is what doctors prescribe the most. It's the most funded thing in America medically. So like doing this, anxiety sells. Yep. And a lot of it too is tied to this technology too. Yeah, you know, you got a big point.
Yeah, I mean, y'all know what I do for work. Some of your brothers, right? So now the whole DEI thing, they're really pushing that shit like to get rid of that big time. And a lot of people are hurting. So that whole like for the whole community affairs situation that's going on right now over there, like there's no more individualism. They want everybody to go back into like collectivism, and so like they're kind of pitting everybody against each other, to where the whole like the alphabet agenda, like they can't even say that anymore, and they had to like say the office of this under the umbrella of this. Like it's like wordplay now. It's funny. I'm watching this and it's like, yeah, this is hilarious. You know, yeah, like, especially with like we have there's a place in there. It's for the Hispanic community. They can't even say their stuff. So everything, I'm seeing all this rebranding, and so yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yep, man. They something big about to happen, man.
Yeah.
Something big is about to happen. There's a reason why, like the brother said, there's a reason why they're purposely pissing people off and confusing them like this.
Yeah.
Because eventually there's going to be that trigger event, that false, you know what?
Yeah.
That's going to incite all those emotions that are pent up.
Yes, sir.
And then they're going to what? They're going to direct it right at us.
Yeah, and it ties to that.
Man.
Money too, money and control. Right.
Yeah.
So if you don't fall in line, then you don't get that certain federal government funding.
Yeah. Yep. Wherever we were at, I know we've said a lot. We grab that.
This is 2 Timothy 1, verse 8.
And matter of fact, because I made that point, we still gonna get that. Can you hold 2 Ezra 16? I want to say start at verse 69 or 70. Wrath of a great multitude. Because persecution, like the brothers are touching on, like the spirit is touching on, Esau is up to something. You see what Esau is doing. He's playing military mind games. All right, and it's gonna cause a reaction. And that reaction he's gonna try to use against the men of the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, in the form of a heavy persecution, life and death persecution. You know, that's what the scriptures warn us about. You know, we're in those times of Jacob's trouble, man. Can we read that real quick?
2 Ezra chapter 16, and I'll start in verse 70. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord.
Right. In every place. Right. Because now everything is global. Like the internet with media. Now you can be on the other side of the world. You can be here in Texas. You could be in another state. All right. But it's the same misinformation being spewed out. You know? So when Esau goes to make his smear campaign, it's gonna be a nationwide, it's gonna be a global thing, you know, because the men of the Lord are all over the world too. You know, you got it all.
That's how Mordecai moved. I'm not Mordecai, but Haman. You know, he made that smear campaign ultimately a nationwide deal. He blew it up.
Yep. Yep. Got it all.
Second Ezra chapter 16, verse 7. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, Yahawashim Yahushua.
Yeah. Yeah. And insurrection, right? An uproar. All right. A lot of pent up aggression, man. Energy. You know. But guess what? The men of the Lord are gonna be good. The men of the Lord are going to be fed. The men of the Lord are going to be strengthened. Standard is going to be lifted. All right. Even despite this. Got it up.
Verse 71. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord.
Like madmen sparing none, man. Like when you watch I Am Legend, man. And you got Will, and then you got all the fucking zombies, man. All right. You know, just bug the fuck out, or The Walking Dead. You got the living, and then you got the dead, right? That just gonna wander around aimlessly, man. All right, you got it up. That's these people. That's everybody outside of this thing, man. You got it.
Verse 71. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Yahawashim Yahushua.
Yep. Yep. So heavy persecution, I think. We understand. You know what I mean? We understand. But guess what? Yahawashi already conquered these people. You know? Yahawashi already conquered death. You know? So we don't have anything to worry about, man. Got it out.
Verse 72. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen.
Right. Then shall it be known who are my chosen, man. All right. Scriptures talk about pilgrims. All right. And that's what we are. We're pilgrims. We're not tied. We're not tied to our current situation here. We understand that our current situation here is getting ready to be removed.
Yo.
It's all momentary, man. Was there more on that?
I started. And they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, Yahawashim Yahushua. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire.
Right. They shall be tried as gold in the fire, man. All right. So gold can't be identified. The men of the Lord can't be identified without the fire, without that purging process, man. You know, because when you get gold in its raw form, you don't really know what you know. You know, if you know what you're looking for, you know.
Yeah.
But if you're just a regular guy, you don't really know that it's gold. You know, and that's how the people. That's what people outside of this thing. They can't see the gold. You know, but through the Spirit, we can see the gold. Like when you deal with brothers, when you watch the apostles on down, the elders on down, we see past the garments, man. We see past the flesh. We looking at the Spirit, man. That's the gold, man.
Lamentations 4:2. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold, how are they esteemed as earthen pitchers, the work of the hands of the potter?
Man, earthen pitchers. All right, and a pitcher is it's a vessel.
Yeah. It's an earthen vessel. It's like mud. It's made out of mud.
Yep.
That's how we're esteemed. But really, hey, Scripture just says the precious sons of Zion.
Yep.
That word precious means something rare. So rare gold, golden wedge of Ophir. But here in this world, like you said, if you don't know that you're looking at gold, you just think that you're looking at a lump of dirt, you know?
Yep.
But you got to look beneath the surface, man. The Most High don't look on the outer. He look at the inner, man.
Yep.
Dealing with the starting first and foremost with the elect.
Yep.
So you don't have to listen. We're not validated by the world's opinion and viewpoint of us to where we get our identity and our value from. You know, we know our value, and by us being this truth, hey, Lord willing, we endure. Hey, that goes to show us what the Lord, how He really feels about us, man. Like, dang, man, you got me in this. Because sometimes them demons will focus, like, man, I wanted the Lord really love me, like, for real. Like, you know, so we know He does, but it's like sometimes sometimes you can miss the forest for the trees, like the old heads say. You know, like you really just like gotta internalize, bro. The Lord has me in the truth right now. If I endure, like, man, bro, He really loves us. He putting us on, bro. So Lord willing, we're those precious sons of Zion, man.
All right, this is Second Esdras 16 and 40. O my people, hear my word. Make you ready to thy battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth.
You want to make a point on it? Sure.
Yeah, because brothers, like you said, we ain't gonna have a steady spot, especially in the time of Jacob's trouble we'll be coming into. We're gonna be moving around because it's gonna be a very scary, troublesome time. All right, and the Lord is gonna have spirit on brothers to be moving like oh boy, what's his name? Denzel Washington. Look at Eli.
God.
You know, and it was even he even dealt with was it Isaiah 4:1? Because he had that woman cleaving onto him.
Yeah.
You know, but the spirit was dealing with him. Because he even said in the movie, we walk by faith, not by sight. He had the woman constantly asking them questions, where we going? But he was giving specific instructions, you know, by the Lord where to go. And he wasn't questioning nothing. And he even has spiritual powers. So that goes to show you how Esau, he knows the scriptures, you know?
Yep.
And he knows, you know, he knows what the Lord promised us and what we're gonna get. All right.
Yep.
He was taking people to flight, you know. So that's gonna be a that's an example of what the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Lord are gonna give. You know, we're gonna, like scripture says, we're gonna be as pilgrims, all right, constantly moving here and there, all right, because we're gonna have different scenarios. Brothers, you know, one brother might be, you know, in the midst of Isaiah 4:1. The other one, he might be getting delivered out of a FEMA camp. One brother got the spiritual powers. He's taking a whole group of men to flight. All right. So the Lord has something very special for his prophets, his men. All right. And it's going to be evident who's the chosen, as it says in, I think, 16 and 70. Yeah. Then it shall be known who are thy chosen.
Yeah. And like you said, like the scripture's going to make thine own calling and election short. Each brother has a different lot, but we're all chasing the same penny, man. You know, we're all chasing salvation at the end of the day. All right, and that immortality that we spoke of. So whatever it is that the Lord has outlined for you, that's what He has outlined for you, and that's what He's been preparing you for. It's not going to be like you get a situation and you like, man, Lord didn't prepare me for this. Well, what was the grace period for then, man? You know, whenever you're presented with whatever situation you're presented with, I believe through the Spirit you're going to be able to look back at the journey to that point, and you're going to be able to put it together as to why you're there. You know, like David.
Yeah.
Like when David got to Goliath. By the time David got to the Goliath, he was putting it together through the Spirit. Like, oh, this is why this happened. This is why this happened. You know, and that's why he pulled up so confidently, man. You know, beautiful point,
Man.
You know, and another thing about the book, that movie too, is he didn't even want to stop moving. Like anytime he didn't like sitting down for too long. You know, like we always go into the example of water. Once it gets stagnant, it starts to die. You know, the Lord has had us moving. The Lord is going to continue to have us moving until we get to the kingdom, man. Okay, come. After you come.
Hey, y'all can give y'all precepts to their business too, though.
On your point,
This is Romans 8:28. We know that all things work together for good to them that love YAHAWASHI, to them who are called according to his purpose.
Yeah. All things work together for good, which is really a heavy thing because Yahawashi is managing like reality. He's managing all of our realities simultaneously. That's why the scriptures go into his ways are higher than our ways, his thoughts are higher than his thoughts. Like if you ever worked a job and you've been over like 2 people, that could be hard, depending on the people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or you go to 10, that shit is hard, man. A lot of moving parts. You know what I mean? People calling out sick. People, you know, a relative die. You know. But imagine the entire universe. Yahweh Shemel Shah is managing the entire universe. And like that precept said, can you read that one more time, Baba Shah?
This is Romans chapter 8:28. We know that all things work together for good to them that love Yahweh, to them who are called according to his purpose.
All things work together for good, man. So your reality, whether you know it or not, all the pieces of your life, they working towards your favor, man. Whether you understand it or not. It's like in chess. Like when you teach somebody chess, like the king is the piece that seems like it's not doing anything because it's not really moving like that, but it's the reason why everything is happening. Man, found it. That's heavy, bro. You know? So all these things that are happening, all right, big picture, right? Big picture, current events. Yeah. You know, the Lord gathering together war, even down to micro. All right, your trip up here to camp today, that's all been managed by Yahweh Shemel Shah. You know, and that's why we fear him.
I remember something Elder Apostle Tahar said. Everything that we went through before we even came into this knowledge brought us to where we're at. Any experiences that you went through before this truth and knowledge. Like you think back on some of that stuff and you like, you know, in a spiritual level, you like, okay, now I understand why I went through that. You know?
Yep.
So something to think about.
Right. Because it could have been one thing too that threw you a whole different trajectory, a whole different direction. It could have been one left turn instead of one exit. You missed the wrong exit. You know what I mean? You meet the wrong person.
Certain people that's not in the truth guided you in a certain way, away from certain people that the Lord didn't want you around. And those people that told you don't be around them people don't even serve the Lord, don't even know the names, nothing. You know what I'm saying? But the Lord used them.
Pawns. Yep. Man. Yep. Where were we at?
I mean, I got a piece of it.
Yeah, wherever y'all got.
This is Luke 22:42, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done.
Keep on going.
And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him, and being in an agony, he prayed more earnestly.
I have called for that precept because, like you mentioned, the things that you go through are preparing you for it. And the Lord, our Lord Yahweh Shah said, he prayed to the Father. He said, Lord, please remove this cup from me. And most people will say that the Lord didn't answer him. You know, no, he didn't answer him at the time, but he did through that angel. The angel came and it strengthened him. It said it strengthened him, but strengthened him for what? What he was about to go through. You know, the Lord was about to go get crucified, you know, a few hours later. So just as we have moments in this walk where we, you know, call out to the Lord or we go experience certain things, and you might ask why. You know, but it's in order to prepare us for what we're about to come to, which is our, our moment, on the cross, so that we can finish that work. We can say, no, Lord, we finished the work. These things like you just read in was that Romans 8? Yeah, those things work for the good for us. All these things we go through from as small as you hitting your foot on the way to camp, to as big as losing your job or getting your head cut off to take it the MOTB. Is all working towards the greater good of things.
Yep. Can we read that one more time? That precept?
This is Luke, the last.
The whole thing.
This is Luke 22, verse 42. Saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done.
Right. Not my will, but thine will be done. All right. And how did the Heavenly Father respond to that sentiment, that mindset right there? You got it up.
And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven.
Right. And what's an angel, man? An angel is a messenger. All right. A message, man. All right. It's carrying information.
That's the Corey spirits,
You know.
but the elect.
You got it up.
Strengthening him.
Right. So the angel strengthened Yahawashi, man. All right. So that shows you once you embrace the will of the Lord will strengthen you, man.
God.
The Lord will strengthen you. Lord ain't gonna just leave you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's also an account of at the Transfiguration. When you read it in, I think when you read it in Luke specifically, it speaks of the Transfiguration, but it talks about how Elijah and Moses when they was with Yahweh, they talked of his crucifixion with him, to encourage him in that. It leaves that out in certain gospels, but I believe in Luke when you read it, it brings that part up to that they had a conversation there to encourage him of the things that he must go through, and it was in order to prepare him. See, so Yahweh had multiple times where he was prepared for the fullness of his ministry or finishing it.
If I can add,
Including John the Baptist's baptism, which a lot of people, these dudes now is negating.
yeah, I was going to add with the transfiguration with Moses and Elijah. Moses, well, question for the brothers: What did what did Moses give unto the children of Israel?
Ten Commandments.
Is it just that? Keep it simple. The law.
Yeah.
Okay. Who did Elijah or what did Elijah the prophet symbolize?
John the Baptist.
Well, yeah, but there's a specific answer.
Precept.
The prophets. So you had the law and the prophets. So Moses and Elijah. So on the Mount of Transfiguration, that was ultimately also symbolic for the law and the prophets testifying of Yahawashi. And here Yahawashi is there physically in the flesh.
Yep.
As he says, I come in the volume of the book, the law and the prophets.
Yeah.
But I had one for you. 2 Corinthians 1 and 3 in the NLT. All praise to the Most High, the Father of our Lord, Yahawashi HaMashiach. Yahweh is our merciful Father and the source of all comfort.
The source of all comfort, man. All right. That's the source. Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi. That's the source of the strength. That's the source of the comfort, the wisdom. Got it up.
Yep. Verse 4, he comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others. When they are troubled, we will be able to give them the same comfort Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi has given us.
What? That's it right there, man. So it's a chain reaction. It's all connected. All right. The way Yahawashi was able to endure and to win. All right. He prayed for us to do the same thing when you read John 17. All right. The Lord didn't just leave us out here, man.
Yeah. Then he gave us the comforter, the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
Verse 5, for the more we suffer for Yahawashi, the more Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi will shower us with his comfort through Yahawashi.
Yep.
Even when you are weighed down with troubles, it is for your comfort and salvation. For when we ourselves are comforted, we will certainly comfort you. Then you can patiently endure the same things we suffer.
Yep.
Man.
It said, what did it say? Weighed down,
Yeah.
right? Because that makes me think about like you go to the gym, right? Right? You don't know how strong you are until you put a lot of weight on the bar, man. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be able to bear some weight. But once you like you hit a max, you hit your max, like you did the most weight you ever did, it might hurt. That shit might hurt.
You know what I mean? Might be screaming, trying to get up. But guess what? After you get up, after you get out the bar, you know what I mean? After, you like, damn, I'm strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how, and through the spirit, we know Jacob's trouble gonna be bad. But it gets to a certain point when you endure and you like, damn, I'm still here. Like if you like to run, like brothers that like to run, like you get to a certain part in the run, you just like, damn,
Yeah.
I'm still running.
Man.
You know what I mean? And it's comforting.
Yeah.
And
you get that second win.
Mhm.
And the second win, that's a real thing, And it's truth. Ultimately, the comfort, that's like our second win. Like the Lord, bro, the bodies that we have, but even more so, the spirits that's inside of us, it can undergo a lot. Specifically if you're part of the elect, but just carnally speaking, just with these human bodies we have, like, bro, like the average person has never really exerted their body to full capacity. I know I haven't gotten close, but I mean, honestly, bro, we have, even though these bodies is pieces of shit and this shit is ghetto as hell, like these bodies can do a lot though, man, and it can surprise you, but it has to be pushed. So the Lord, He's going to get every ounce out of us, bro. So that's why we need a spirit so we can endure. Because it's going to be a tight squeeze. He's going to get all that juice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Well, just to go with what the brother was saying, what is that precept in First Corinthians chapter 2, verse 13, where YAHAWASHI will put more on you than you can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody has a certain endurance. Like the brother said, we don't know how much we can take, but the Lord knows what we can take. He knows what we can handle. So that might be a portion. Just say, for instance, with you, brother, you might could take a lot more than what I can take, but whatever. But the Lord has His limits on each and every one of us. So,
You get that Romans 12.
Romans 12, verse
I'll wrap it up on that.
Romans 12, verse 1 and 2.
Yeah, we can just give verse 2 and wrap it.
Oh,
Yeah, we start verse 2 and wrap it up.
and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of YAHAWASHI.
So that's what we're here to do. We're here to prove the perfect will of YAHAWASHI, man. Through endurance, suffering, man. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to
Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Kakadash.
double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth, that rule well and teach well, and shalom to the next camp.
Shalom. What are you?